Good evening, race fans. Good evening, V8 fans. And good evening, Pete Bingham fans. Welcome to Backfire Simsport TV and welcome to season 13 of the Simability V8ESC Championship. I'm Clyde Whiting, and in the booth with me tonight and doing the cameras, it's Mr. Pete Bingham. Good evening.
Good evening, Clyde. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to V8ESC.
And yeah, season 13, Pete. I don't know where it's gone. I was doing some reminiscing earlier on today and looking at where it all started and how it all started way back in 2016. It's been a wild ride, but we're here, we're back. There's promises of new cars. We'll talk about all that later. But for
Right.
now, we have rounds one and round two from the Circuit of the Americas, and it is the West layout. So, firstly, Pete, let's talk about the new season. Many returning names, some new names. A first for me, first time I've ever seen Team Chimera with three cars in a team.
Oh, yeah, that's
Um,
weird, yeah.
it's we've had some absolutely fantastic racing in this series. The car is an absolute beast. It takes patience, it takes skill, it takes
Time.
time,
Lots of time.
an element of madness as well, maybe. These guys certainly get the best out of this car every time we see them race.
They do. They are... Well, most of the names we've got in here at the moment are seasoned veterans of V8s and V8 ESC now. Now, we've got a few that joined us last season. We've got a few that joined us the season before. Justas is reasonably new, I guess, as well. And we, you know, first race of the season, everybody's getting their paint sorted out. They'll all want to have their liveries on and things like that. But the focus is more about how well you can drive this car or these two cars. Ultimately, they are the same thing under the hood. Their setups are identical. The way that they handle, arguably, is different depending on who you speak to. Although I think, legitimately, they are exactly the same, wouldn't you say, Clyde?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've done many races as you have as well in these cars. Not done too, not as many in this version of the car, but they have always been, in theory, as you say, exactly the same under the hood. Now, the last iteration of the car, I preferred the Ford because it had that lumpy
Bubble.
bonnet,
The bubble in the bonnet, yeah.
which always, I don't know why, but helped me get within 6 foot of an apex rather than 12 foot.
Yeah.
But that's gone with this version of the car. So I don't know. It's down to are you a Ford fan? Are you a Holden fan? I think the Holden fans that drive the Holdens will say they drive the Holdens because they think it handles better than the Ford and vice versa. But ultimately, if you listen to the people that make the virtual versions of these cars, they are absolutely identical. So I think that may be just what goes on upstairs in drivers' heads.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I think that ultimately it's all to do with driver preference, like you were saying. Do you like the look of one or the other now? There's no difference looking out the windscreen, really, is there? So unless they bring some other cars to the service, and you were mentioning that there is a potential of that on the intro. What are we looking forward to then, potentially?
Well, just the latest generation of the V8 supercars. Latest rumor is it will possibly be with us at the beginning of March, which means for our schedule anyway, we've got Bathurst on the 4th of March,
Yeah.
which will most definitely be in this variant of the car.
Right.
If the new car is then released, we could see it make its debut on March the 18th at Mid Ohio.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's
you
not
know,
too far away. That's got to be round 3, right?
that's actually round 6.
What? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
we go to Belle Isle on February the 18th, Bathurst on March the 4th, and then Mid Ohio on March the 18th.
Good grief.
But I don't think anything's confirmed yet.
Yeah.
As usual, a new car will probably bring lots of new drivers, whether they can drive the car or not. And as we see when we switched over to this car, I don't know if you can remember, it's probably quite a way back. But a certain Greg Carr went from, I wouldn't say being a nowhere driver, but just the, the new build of the car just suited his driving style, and he was up there in the top 5 and things like that. So, a change of car can, some people, just get on with it from day one, and other people, it takes them weeks, months to get used to it. So it could be a little bit of a shake-up, a third of the way through the season.
Yeah, and let's talk about the track, because this is a Tilted track, isn't it? Circuit of the Americas. It was designed, if I remember right, I'm sure either you told me this or somebody else, as wise as you are, Clyde, that they tried to take the features of some of the most iconic tracks and most famous tracks in the world and mash them all into one place, and then paint the concrete or tarmac or whatever you call it a myriad of different colours. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right, unfortunately.
Oh dear. Right.
And I must admit, as the man that comes up with a schedule, it'll be probably surprise people to hear me say I hate Circuit of the Americas. However, I do think this layout, the West layout, is better than the full layout. So, and as much as I hate the track, I don't like the look of it. I find it can be over technical in places that it shouldn't be. But it tends to give good racing because it is one of those circuits where you've got to be on it all the time. One slight lapse of concentration and it's all gone wrong. Not usually to the point that you're going to wreck your car, but you're probably going to end up going 17 miles off on one of these runoff strips.
Yeah, yeah. And for the viewers watching at home, what is our format? Are we following the official schedule for the weeks that we hit and avoiding the endurance 5-star races that iRacing puts out on a schedule, or is there a different approach to it for us this season?
Well, this season we have a slightly different approach. Most of, not all of, but most of the tracks that we will race in our season, which lasts for 6 months, appear in the first season of the iRacing schedule. However, new cars possibly could throw everybody's setups out of the window anyway.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that we've gone down this route is because our season lasts for 2 iRacing seasons. It always meant that, like for this season, for instance, we could probably announce the first 4 races, and then everything else is to be decided because we're waiting on the iRacing gods to decide what they're going to put on the schedule. So we decided to go slightly different, on a slightly different road for this season. And then we've got a couple of cunning but interesting ideas, which may or may not come to fruition for season 14, all about the schedule. But that's something that we need to have a chat about, Pete, and take it from there. As for this season, it's the standard fare of sprint and feature double header meetings and one race endurance meetings. We've got 19 rounds in total. The final round being or the final rounds being at Sandown on June the 10th. Rules wise, we think our rules are fairly robust now. We have had a little jiggle around with the points to try and stop people getting minus points, and also might even keep the championship a bit closer, although it is usually very close in this series anyway. We had a little tweak with the bonuses and incident points. So pole position is now worth 5 points. Fastest lap is worth 3 points. If you lead a lap, you get a point, maximum of 3. Same incident points, so you lose a point for every incident point you collect. Once you get to 15 incident points, then you will get a black flag drive through. We have increased that limit to 20 incident points for the 3 endurance rounds. There is a standard reverse top 10 for the feature race. And apart from that, everything else pretty much stays the same.
Interesting. So, the other thing to note is what happened last season. So, let me take you through that as we get very close to tripping over into qualifying here. I've just chosen the wrong league. I'm that stupid, so give me a second. I think it was Simon Trendle that won last time out, is that right?
It certainly is. Simon Trendle was our season 12 champion.
Yeah.
And ultimately a very worthy champion, proving again that, you don't have to go out there and win every race. You just need to consistently score good points.
Yeah, so we've got Tyler Newitt finished second. He is in Australia languishing at Bathurst as we speak.
Yeah, he'll have his little white legs out, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As long as it's not Adam with his legs out, that's fine. Kenzie Newhoff finished third. Johnny Brandon for XVR finished fourth. Fifth was Adam Wright for BSTV. Sixth was Steve LaValle for XVR. Rich Warmingham for XVR finished seventh. Jamie Wilson for Team Chimera was eighth. Ninth was Jimmy McKnight for NQR America. And 10th was Ant Woodward for NQR Europe. In terms of the teams last time, as the cars file out for their qualifying session, we do open qualifying here. I've got to go back to past seasons again. Oh, that's really thrown me. Team standings was XVR Holden, managed to top the charts on 2072 with BSTV Esports Green, which was Tyler and Adam, at 1842 in second. Team Chimera, which back then was Jamie and Simon on their own, on 1727 with Hydra Race Racing Forces, which was Kenzie and co. And Alex Civiliano Lado, who is on your screen at the moment, funnily enough, and I can't remember who the other one was. No, forgotten. It's out of my head now. That might have been it. And then NQR Europe were fifth, which was Nikolai Bogotyrev, Ant Woodward, and there was another one. Is it Bob?
Yes.
Yeah, Bob Woodhouse. So that was last season. Last season's driver of the meeting. Let's figure out who that was, because I've forgotten. Safe driver was Tyler, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And he got his prize from Logan Jackson.
He did. He got an award, a handwritten award, which it'll go down in legend because it was brilliantly art. The artwork was fantastic.
It will be worth a fortune in years to come.
Oh, it will. It was spectacular. Simon Trendle won driver of the meeting as well as the championship. Tennessee Newhoff in second, and Alex Sevillano, Nikolai Bier, and Steve Lavallee shared third place on 2 votes each. So we've got that to look forward to this season, Clyde. What else did we fight for last season? Oh, the Fred Bingham Forever Forward Award. Just give me a sec. Yep. We know about the safe driver, and then I'll let you talk about the head-to-head in a second. Jamie McKnight, I think he won this in the first race, you know.
He did have about 49 overtakes in the
he did, yeah.
race 1.
Jamie McKnight won last season. Johnny Brandon was second. Jamie McKnight had 79. Johnny Brandon had 66. And it took Johnny Brandon the whole season to do what Jamie McKnight did in about 2 races. Kenzie Newhoff finished third. Nikolai Bogotarev was fourth. And Jamie Wilson, which actually surprised me when I read this earlier today, finished fifth. I don't know why it surprised me. It just did. The head-to-head. We're not doing a head-to-head this season, no?
No. So it's all a bit top secret at the moment. But I am... I've worked on something in the background that was talked about 2 or 3 years ago. I think I've got it sorted, but I'm not sure. So what I've decided to do is not do the head-to-head this season, but concentrate on this secret pod project in the background, make sure it works this season, and then introduce it properly for next season. I will be posting screenshots and ideas and things like that into the B8 Discord channel as we go along, but obviously I want to get a couple of results in the book and make sure it all works before I post anything, and when it all goes wrong, look like an absolute idiot.
Fair enough. Right, let's talk about COTA. I'm going to do a lap with you in a minute. Some people love it, and some people absolutely detest this track. We're fairly early on in the track at the moment. We're heading up to the very, very tight hairpin. We will get there eventually, I'm sure. But it's got its lovers and its haters, and the haters love to hate. We're about to cross the finish line. That was the last corner there. That little bar in the middle of the screen doesn't help, and neither does Tony pulling over. That you know, commentators curse and all that. We're at the hairpin here. This is the sharpest turn in the whole wide world. Somebody's decided they've had enough and pulled off to the right. I think that was Kenzie. I'm not sure. You go through this series of right-handers here. They go on forever. You kind of get a bit bored by this point, and then you head down this very short straight here that Jamie is on at the moment. You'll be able to pick it up on his stream as he pits the car. This is just not going well for me at all, is it?
Do you think they're watching?
I think they may be, and they're just trying to betray me. Probably not listening now, because I just talk nonsense all day. Oh, right. So Ivan says Tilke was heavily intoxicated when he designed this track. That's class. I like that. That's quite good. So, who are we on board with here? Tony Kloosterman. Hopefully he can finish a lap. What?
Shouldn't have said the name. You should have just said
right, just
we're going on board with our mystery driver.
Yeah, mystery driver, also known as Tony Kloosterman. This is a double right-hander towards the end of the lap. You go through this little section, and then you end up on the pit lane entry turn here. So you straighten the car up in pit lane. Oh no, where am I? What the hell? I don't know this track at all, Clyde.
I guess that, yeah.
Yeah, so let's do all these right-handers, which is where I thought I was a minute ago. Head towards this next corner, which is where I thought I was when I said it was the next turn onto the pit road entry, which is here. And we will hopefully get a lap. So this is the last turn, folks. You've got to be very, very careful on the gas leaving this turn. It's only got a tiniest bit of wheel spin, but not much. Over the start-finish line, up the hill, which is a reasonably unique thing for Kota. Massively wide turn 1. It's just, you could drive several trucks into this turn and not
Massive
even
overtaking opportunity.
Oh, it's just enormous, yeah. Fire it through the gears, down through this sweeping right-hander, and then you go through this S's section. What Tilkeworth thought he was doing here, I'm not sure, but it goes on a bit monotonously. There's far too many turns. And then you eventually get to straighten the car up through this chicane, which isn't a chicane. Carefully control it. Fire it forward here, and then tip it into the sharpest turn in the world. Then you get the smallest of straights before you have to turn right again. Here it is. Most of these turns are in second or third gear. You go through this sharp left-hander and then turn back on yourself at this point in order to fire it down to this right-hander. And then you go through a series of right-hand turns, which seem to get more and more elaborate. We've seen some good overtakes here, though, in previous seasons in different series.
We've seen people go around the outside, haven't we?
Around the outside of there, which is brilliant to watch. And then we're back where we started, so this is the final turn again. Whilst I'm being unfair on the track, I possibly think, it does lend itself. It's hugely wide. Look how much room there is on the left-hand side of Tony's car there.
Turn 1 is a driver's nightmare because
Everywhere.
You just can't defend.
No, it's everywhere, isn't it?
Watching a race at turn 1, when you see 6, 7, 8 wide, is absolutely phenomenal. It's probably the one part of the track that they got right.
Yeah, I would say so. I can't believe how wide the track is in total, though. Everywhere you go, you could drive about 8 or 9 cars wide. Look at that. Look at it. You know, overtaking opportunities wise, it's not a BTCC kind of track, is it? Where you can get 3 cars wide maximum, maybe 2.5.
It's not a knock hill, is it?
No way. I mean, this is something else. This is opulence in terms of track space. And for that reason, it makes for good racing. So whilst I'm being derogatory towards the track, and it is a bit sterile in the fact that you've got concrete, or tarmac rather, everywhere around it, so it's the most uber safe track you've ever seen in your life, and it's garishly painted. It does lend itself to excellent racing.
Yeah, and we will no doubt see some crazy overtakes. We will see some drivers using every inch of this massively wide circuit. But yeah, you're right. You know, it's a strange track in that it's got some of the best overtaking places, but it's also got some bits that it's just follow the leader. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But you know, these guys, these cars, this league, if there's an overtake to be made, you're gonna see it.
Without a doubt. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't shy. There's still an imbalance, if I can say that, in terms of the I ratings that are knocking about within this league. So we have as low as the 1400s and as high as the 6100s. I mean, that's quite an I rating, isn't it?
It is, but does it really mean anything?
Not really, no, because
you know,
you earn your I rating in leagues, in official leagues, don't you?
Exactly. It means you race in lots of official racing, whereas a lot of people only do league racing. I know what you're saying. You know, you've got to be a decent driver to get an I rating that high. But you know, you can't always look at the guys with the low I rating and say that they're bad drivers.
No way. What's Ivan saying? It's such a strange track, you need a GPS and snow tyres to navigate it. That's quite funny. Quite like that. Nice one, Ivan.
Well, at least you don't need headlights.
Well, yeah, no flashing of said headlights. because we know that winds me up. I just find it annoying.
or losing of said headlights.
That'll happen, I'm pretty sure. Here is last season's champion, Simon Trendle. The Chimera. Holden is looking resplendent there, that's good. Who's the third car in that team? There's
That is the new driver, Andrew Wood.
he is in the session, but he's not on the track at the moment. He has put
Yeah.
some time in, but he's not on track right now. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Adam Wright in a car. We've not seen him in the league since the last V8ESC season.
Yeah, and a season that I'm going to say this, and he's going to hate me. I think he was disappointing in season 11. We went into season 12, and I thought he had every opportunity of winning that league.
Yes.
And for one reason or another, it didn't quite work out. But that leads me nicely on to a question for you, Pete.
Danger, go on.
So, where do you think our champion is coming from this season? Do you think Simon Trendle will back-to-back it? Do you think Tony Kloosterman is going to get his first championship win since season 2? Kenzie Newhoff, we know he's always been quick. Where is this win? Who's going to be there in June with the virtual trophy?
I think there's a number of drivers that can win it. I think there is a very, very good chance that Kenzie Newhoff, if he stays for the whole season and manages his own frustrations with what happens through the season, could easily end up with the crown of V8ESC champion. Tony Kloosterman has had such bad luck over a number of races in the last 2 or 3 seasons. I almost feel sorry for him. I don't, because he's a massively talented driver, and therefore I have to be jealous of him. That's my first emotion. And then you look at Simon Trendle and you think, can I actually bet against Simon Trendle? He's got the as he decides he wants to take a whole new line through those corners. Do I want to decide to bet against someone with such pedigree and
Adam, check the
finishing reliability is the best way I can describe it. I'm not sure. You've got a few people that wait in the wings, the Adam Wrights of this world, the Bob Woodhouses of this world. There's probably some people further down the scoring sheet that you can see on the screen, and that's before we get other people attracted either through they didn't think they were going to race this season, but they decided to because they watched this race, or because the new car joins and they want to race. There's a whole load of different things that could affect it, but I think the key people this year are going to be Simon, Tony and Kenzie.
I certainly wouldn't disagree with that. I would even go as far as saying it's Simon's to lose.
Yes.
15.5.
Right then, so round 1 of the V8ESC season 13 will be Simon Trendle as your pole man for Team Chimera. He did a 131.721. 0.1 of a second behind was Tony Kloosterman for the USS, and it sounds like a ship, Clyde, and Never Quit Racing.
I don't know where you've got that information.
I have no idea, but it's come up on the screen.
The USS Tony Kloosterman.
Yeah, and all that's sailing him. Kenzie Newhoff will go off 3rd for Hydro Race Racing Forces. Bob Newhouse in 4th for NQR Europe. Stephen Phillips in 5th for Dashhound Racing. We've got... Let me change the camera for everybody because they'll be getting bored. Where was I? There. Adam Wright for BSTV Sports Green in 6th. 7th will be Jamie Wilson for Team Chimera. 8th will be Nikolai Bogatira for NQR Europe. 9th will be Ant Woodward for NQR Europe. His teammate, Greg Carr, in 10th for NQR North America. Despite it saying New York, don't know what's going on. 11th will be Vincent Skilbeck from Australia. That was my best and final impression, Vincent. You'll be happy to hear. For Wheelie Bins Mayhem Republic, great to have him back with us. Justas Sasiokas in 12th for well, it just says Scandinavia. Who is he actually with? Why is it not reading out? Over the Limit Racing. There we go. Ant Woodward goes off. Andrew Woodward goes off 13th for Team Chimera. That's not going to throw me every time I see it, is it?
Just wood.
Wood. No Woodwood. No Woodwood.
No Woodwood.
No Woodwood. What was his name? Edward Woodward.
No Woodhouse. Wood.
But Rob Venn goes off 14th at BSTV Sports Green. Oh Christ, they're revving. And then Alexandra Civiliano, JB DeJu, and Ivan Bowmans.
Oh, who's that at the back? Got a blinder of a start.
No idea at the moment.
One of the Racing Forces cars it was. Must have been
Alex Civiliano, no doubt. They're quite spread out. They're very, very hesitant.
It was a very, very safe start.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good view. Oh, I like that. That's a busy bit of track right there. Everybody's sorted themselves out, Clyde.
Yeah, it doesn't usually take long, does it? And especially on this track, because as soon as you get to that section,
you've got to file in. Yeah, exactly.
People having little looks, but there's a Chimera car there with a big wiggle on.
Yeah, Stephen Phillips is determined here. He might get... Oh, look at this. Side by side with Jamie Wilson for nearly half a lap.
Yeah, we need to get the standings on the screen.
Oh. Maybe like that?
Yeah, that's better.
I've already clicked these ones, believe it or not. Right. It's the first race, folks. It's always going to go wrong, especially for me.
Yeah, and in case there's anybody new watching, this is what we call a 30-minute sprint race. The cars have got enough fuel in to get all the way to the end of the race, but they are limited so that in race 2, which is an hour long, they will have to make a pit stop.
Stephen Phillips and Jamie Wilson.
Yeah,
battling hard.
See, having a big tail wiggle.
You can see how they've started to spread out over just the first lap.
Yeah, this is where we start to get pockets of similar speed drivers, isn't it?
Yeah. I think these two are fairly well matched already so far. This is Stephen Phillips and Jamie Wilson again.
Yeah, Kenzie was putting a lot of pressure on Tony for second place in the first lap, but it looks like they've settled down as well.
Yeah, a bit of gaps forming in the top 5 at least. It's a lot tighter further back, it has to be said. So this is the Team Chimera driver Andrew Wood, will get that right by the end of the season, and have just done it now. Chasing JB for BSTV Esports Blue.
Yeah.
He's done him. He's done him. Just there.
Evening to the Mew on the chat. He wants to talk Gatto. He's only here for a little while. He's got some racing of his own to do. What are you racing in? Let us know. And why are you not racing with us?
Exactly that. That's what I was just about to say. Let's talk Gatto. So, alright. Black Forest, there's no room for Black Forest in my world. It's chocolate, and as much chocolate as you can get in the sponge as possible, and on it and around it.
Yeah,
you eat lots of cake, but surely you've got heavy opinions on this.
Not well. Yeah, I don't mind a bit of Gatox.
GT7? What?
It's not my favourite cake.
What, Gatto?
Yeah,
You like puddings more than cake, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I'm more of
Oh,
a
that was
fan.
Eustace.
Yeah,
Oh God, he's damaged really badly. Hang on.
yeah. He's got no bonnet on that car.
No, he doesn't. And was that with a car? That looks like wall damage, doesn't it? More than anything.
Yeah, and it can be quite difficult to find
Oh
wall
God, he
around
got
here.
a wriggle on. Oh,
Oh, he was helped. Yeah,
well,
no fault.
ish. He'd
Yeah,
already lost control.
yeah, there was no fault there,
No,
but
no.
he may have gathered it up if he didn't have a car up his backside. But that's racing, folks.
It really is. Sorry, I'm going to have to go back to this quickly because there's business on here for Adam. Well, there was. Oh, he's turned that corner excellently well and should be closing in on Nikolai very shortly because he's going to get such a run through these S's. There you go.
Yeah, and a little bit of late braking as well,
Yeah.
and job done.
That was a beautiful overtake, to be fair, wasn't it? Don't ever tell him I said that, but that was spectacular. I mean, it's like we were saying at the start, right? He's had the ability. Ooh, Stephen Phillips. He's had the ability to win on a number of occasions before, hasn't he? And well, to your words, disappointed in the fact that he hasn't.
Yeah. Up the front as well, Kenzie is now closing the gap on Tony.
Yeah, very different lines into that particular corner.
Well, to be honest, I've been watching these for about a lap, and I don't know, I don't think Tony's driving defensively, because Kenzie's not that close to him, but there's 2 or 3 corners where they do have totally different lines.
Right.
Tony a lot shallower, Kenzie out wide with a late turn in, so maybe that's what's working for him. I don't know, but he's certainly closing.
We've definitely got pockets of cars forming. These 4 here. So this is Greg Carr, Stephen Phillips, Jamie Wilson, Rob Venn. Almost on the same bit of tarmac.
So that's a bit of a USA versus UK battle, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. So Greg Carr and Stephen Phillips from the US of A, and Jamie Wilson, Rob Venn from the U of K.
In fact, I think both of those US drivers are from New York.
That's a good way to wind Stephen up, isn't it? Oh. Now, this might be nothing whatsoever, right? Because he hasn't actually moved, but this is classed as an off-track. Is it just too wide on a corner or something?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
No, maybe not.
Little wiggle.
A little off-track,
Yeah.
a bit. Maybe. A bit boring, to be fair.
Managed to defend that from Jamie. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. This is on. This really is on. Kenzie on the inside here of Tony. Oh, we got a lot of curb.
But that is exactly what I was saying before the race was started. In Tony's position, it's a nightmare. You can't defend it.
Yeah. You can put your car anywhere and someone will find the other line.
Yeah.
Because there's about 20 of them. Look at that. That's a good view, isn't it? V8s piling through the S's.
You just want a straight line up that part of the track, don't you?
Yeah.
A little bit of battle in there between Kenzie and Tony has dragged Bob Woodhouse and Adam Wright nearly to this battle. Nearly.
Yeah. Bob needs to upload his paint, clearly, because he's in council
yes.
paints. But there's that battle further back there with Stephen Phillips in the mix and Greg Carr. Greg Carr's now behind Stephen, so That overtake happened while we were watching Greg Cargo and on a Dalian soft track.
Yeah, and Ant Woodward has got on the back of Rob Venn as well to join the back end of this battle.
Yes, that's good eyes actually. He's closing in now. And then the little group behind here, which is just a pairing of Vincent Skilbeck and Alex Aureliano later. I think they'll end up moving forward. We've got a little gap then back to Andrew Wood, who's on in a race all of his own right now, as is JB. Justas in a second-hand car right now. Ooh, crikey, getting it sideways, leaving last turn with Ivan closing in on him, Ivan Batmans.
Yeah, this again, you know, from experience, you know, the guys at the back, they just want to be keeping it clean. Maybe, you know, if they haven't got the pace to pull any overtakes, hoping that some of the other guys further up the field have some incidents, gain some places that way. But it's just, you know, it's seat time in the car, getting used to it, and the pace will eventually come.
Yeah, and if we look at the new paint scheme for Wheelie Bin's Mayhem Republic, it looks quite good actually, Clyde. Well happy with that. New livery, it takes us away from the green and the purple of last season. Or last few seasons, I should say, sorry.
That is an Adam Wright design.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, that's really good. I like that.
Apparently it doesn't run too well when it's windy.
Oh well, that's the failure on the paint though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because he used Hammerite. But it's not very smooth.
Yeah. Oh, there's something going on here. As the Mew apologises for bringing Gatto into the conversation. Never apologise for bringing food to the equation. You should see what I look like and how much Clyde eats.
That is Greg Carr and Jamie Wilson, isn't it?
It is. Just a bit ahead. Phillips. He's having a look, and he could get a cutback here-ish. He's certainly late on the brakes.
Confused myself there. Because obviously Stephen had that battle with Greg Carr, and I just looked up and thought, well, how did Greg get back in front of him? But it wasn't, it was Nikolai.
Yeah. The Europe cars, for those new to watching, have the blue, black and green vertically downwards, and the American cars have green, black and blue vertically downwards. Stephen Phillips doing a great job of moving forward here. He's one down from his start position, but he's having to fight back from positions he lost at the start.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of clear track in front of him now, hasn't he, up to Adam Wright. I'll tell you he's going well. Simon Trendle, he's over 4 seconds in front now.
Yeah, that's what 4 seconds looks like right there. 2 turns, call it, on the S's.
So you could make all that up, just straight lining that.
Yeah, even with the slowdown.
I would be about 3 laps ahead of everybody by now.
That's a crazy bit of congestion just here, though. These guys are definitely coming together. Stephen Phillips all the way back. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the way back to... Is it Vincent Skilbeck? No, not quite.
I was going to say, the more that pack battles, the more it's going to drag Vincent and Alex into this as well.
Yeah. No pit stops in the 30-minute race. What are we expecting for the feature race that follows, Clyde?
Ooh, good question.
Have you got insider information?
I'm going to have a look. I think I have. And if I have, I'm going to keep it quiet until we get into the race.
Yeah, that's only fair, isn't it?
Yes, I have.
Excellent. I have the same.
Although we are expecting about 20 laps for this race.
Okay, well, we're on lap 10, so let's call that halfway.
So yeah, we're on schedule for a 20-lap race.
Cool. This group is building. There's 3 NQR cars in here, 1 BSTV car, a Chimera car, and who is that leading? Is that Stephen? It is. It's Stephen. So Dash Hound leading this group.
He's actually pulling away, I think.
He is. Vincent just lost a position to Alex. We're going to have to watch that. This is turn 1, isn't it? The widest bit of track on the planet. Is he just going to stuff it down the inside? He does as well.
You know, if you're going to defend there, for me...
Sorry, go on.
if you try and defend the inside and the person carries some speed around the outside...
Yep.
Oh
dear. I hope he didn't end up in a bad
gather
place.
that?
I don't know, I'm just going to replay it now.
Just went out of shot, didn't it?
I don't know what happened really. It's quite... Oh, he got the curb. Right, okay. Oh, and then he got the kitty litter.
Yeah, he's alright. He's in the 3. He straight lined it.
Yeah.
Good lad.
And then he got a 30-minute slowdown.
Yeah. As I was saying, if you defend the inside, somebody carries speed around the outside, they are then on the inside for the next right-hander.
Yeah.
So you try and defend the outside, and then somebody shoves it up the inside, and then if they're clever and they can make it look like a racing thing, they can actually push you off the track.
Yeah. Come on,
so
Rob, cut back. Go on.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is. Oh, Rob then so wanted to stuff the car into the inside there on Woodward. Vincent Skillback, why are you in the pits? Why would Vincent Skillback have entered pit road? He's gone in on quali fuel.
He's possibly got some damage off of that curb, because that was...
Well, yes, actually, I think that's more reasonable an explanation, to be fair. I think you're absolutely right.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely not incident points.
Right.
I've checked that.
Rob Venn, he's up 3 places from the start, but that's because Justas and Vincent are now behind him. Who else has gone behind him? I can't really tell. Might have been Andrew Wood. He needs to get a wriggle on here and get back into a top 10 finish. This little group still reasonably together. So we've got Jamie Wilson at the back of it, Greg Carr in front of him, Nikolai Bogatyrev, and then Stephen Phillips leading the group there. There he is.
That is, again, it's one of those things, isn't it? You know, it's one mistake and you lose 5 positions.
Well, yeah. And especially with this lot, because they're all so seasoned at driving this car. You don't get people throwing it at the scenery or driving slow, do you, generally?
We're over halfway.
Yeah, I was going to say, our leader at halfway is Simon Trendle, and he's got a 6.7 second lead. I don't think we'll see another car in the shot at the minute. But the next car, if we did, would be Kenzie Newhoff, who's got Tony Klusterman in reasonably close proximity.
Yeah, we've got an 82 Fahrenheit track. So not roasting, but I'm sure a lot of these rear tyres are going to be complaining by now.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Justus and JB are slugging it out way back here for P14s. This is a bit of a replay of what was going on there. Oh, he stuffed it right up the inside of the hairpin and got mega wheel spin, so JB took it back again.
He tries to switch back.
And
Got
he's
a good
made
run.
the... Ooh.
Got a good run, but JB's going to have the inside.
But then this turn is quite sharp as well. I don't suppose it's helping Justus that he's got no bonnet.
It's weird in these cars, isn't it? Sometimes
Yeah, it does
you know,
nothing,
you
and
get
then other times
a
it
little
does.
crinkle somewhere, and your car crabs, or as Vincent has proved in the past, you can lose every panel on the car.
Win.
It still runs like a dream.
Yeah. Some of those have been hilarious over the years, haven't they, with Vincent? And he's like, look, it wasn't missing on my screen.
Yeah.
Well, you had no
I
panels on
don't know why he
ours.
bothers. I don't know why he bothers having sponsors, because you never get to see them. Jamie Wilson putting pressure on Greg Carr.
Yeah, Justus has got a good run on JB here, and he's... Well, JB's kind of let him have the corner there.
Yeah, I don't think he really wanted anything to do with that. He saw that coming.
And then, yeah, you're right. Jamie's closing on Greg. Well, I say that. They've been in this position for a while.
Yeah, he just seems to be having a few more looks now, whether he's trying to fluster Greg a little bit. Not that Greg gets flustered, but normally once you think you're within striking distance, that's when you'll start having those little looks.
Do we know what the situation is with the other half of Team GC?
No, I've not had an update for a while.
No, nor have I, to be fair. We'll have to find out about that when we speak to Tony later. This has suddenly become a battle. From almost nowhere, there was a big gap a minute ago and there's nothing on my tracker. But Adam has caught Bob Woodhouse.
I think that is pure Adam pace looking at the gap in front of Bob.
Okay.
Because that gap certainly to Tony hasn't gone out any.
Just want to see who's got fastest lap at the minute.
Maybe a bit of tyre management from Adam at the start of the race, and he's reaping the rewards now.
Yeah, probably and possibly. And Kenzie Newhoff is our fastest lap of the race, man.
Tyler is probably on the phone to Adam, whispering sweet nothings in his ear to
Well, without a doubt.
get him onto the podium or somewhere near it.
It's early morning in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, Kenzie wouldn't. Vincent wouldn't be racing with us right now.
Exactly.
So, just a reminder quickly, your race leader is Simon Trendle, who leads by a whopping 8.4 seconds. Kenzie Newhoff is in second place, with Tony Gleeson only 1.3 seconds behind him. And Bob Woodhouse is not far behind that with 1.6 seconds. Adam Wright's bolted to the rear bumper of that Mustang there. I was wondered whether he was going to try and stuff it down the inside into the S's. Stephen Phillips is down from the start, but only by one position in sixth.
Didn't he?
Sorry?
Started fifth, didn't he, Stephen?
He did, yeah. He's kind of swapped places with Adam Wright early on and then never seen the position again. But done some good overtaking from where he ended up. Nikolai Bogotyrev sits behind him in seventh place. Greg Carr, not that far off him, really. In eighth place. Jamie Wilson's been shadowing him for quite a while, and they exchange places not that far back. And then rounding out the top 10 is Ant Woodward, all on his own at the minute, but he's been in the thick of it further back with Rob Venn, who's getting slowly dropped. We did have this happen very, very recently. I like that paint job he's got. It's very nice. Oh, locks up.
Yeah. Nothing major there. What's the chances of having a look at Stephen's start?
Stephen's start. Yeah, let's go and have a look at Stephen's start.
Let's see if he dropped those places in the first couple of corners.
He may have just dropped him right off the start, to be fair. He's dropped 1, 2, 3,
Got wheels in, didn't he? Yeah.
4. Yeah, 4 positions before turn 1.
He'll be kicking himself about that.
Yeah, I would think he'd be revising his plan for the next one. Oh. Vincent
Vincent's back in the
Gilbert.
pit.
He is, and that's a bit inexplicable, to be fair, because there's nothing else. This happened, but there doesn't seem to be anything naughty in it.
That's JB.
Yeah. JB goes wide, and Vincent carries on. Goes over the stripe and over start finish line. I really don't know what to say. I mean, it's very strange. He's just driven into pit road at the end of that lap, which is odd.
Possibly having a technical issue. I'm sure we'll find out because he always comes in for an interview at the end of the evening.
Yeah. Jamie Wilson underneath Greg Carr there. This was utterly reciprocated seconds later. There you go.
Too much wheel spin.
Too much wheel spin, which is the fate of anybody that drives this car. This is Andrew Wood, just before you wonder who it is. The red wing mirrors give it away. Oh well, that was less eventful than SDK made me think it was.
Tipped it in a bit in a hurry, didn't he?
He did.
In there in the background as well.
And we do need to watch another one. I'm having a chase because, as ever, Clyde, everybody starts racing towards the latter stages of a race, just to annoy me and catch me out.
Adam Wright and Bob Woodward.
Woodwood House.
Wood.
Yeah. That was a nice overtake, to be fair.
It was, yeah. Yeah, well controlled.
Yeah.
Up to 4.
Yeah. Tony Klosterman has pretty much caught Kenzie Newhoff here.
Yeah, he has. That could be on in the last couple of laps because that's all we've got left.
As could this. So Jamie Wilson is fancying how his car would look in 8th place instead of 9th.
Well, he's got past him once, just couldn't hold on to it, so he knows he can do it.
He's got Ant Wood, not that far behind. I'll keep an eye on that time between Kenzie and Tony. We've got less than 3 minutes left. No, we haven't. Yeah, we have. We've got less than 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
I don't know when Simon Trundle will pick up the white flag. It's a 1 minute 34 seconds to do a lap.
Yeah, he's just got over the line now, so he's going to have the lap that he's just started and another one.
That was a lovely overtake from Jamie, but is he going to be able to keep this?
These guys are looking at 2 laps after this one.
He's leaving him room. That's excellent driving from both of them. And Ant Woodward thinks Christmas is coming. Here's the 3rd car in the picture.
Pink's going down the inside, Jamie on the outside.
You wonder, don't you, when they take different lines into that turn, how big the crash is going to be, let alone whether they'll get through it.
Yeah, you throw it down the inside, you've got to try and get half a car, 3/4 of a car, then you can start edging out and giving the other driver a decision to make.
So Jamie forces the issue, gets himself to the front there. We're going to have to watch a bit of Kenzie. 29 minutes of this race have passed. Where is Simon Trendle? There he is.
Simon Trendle is about to start. Just coming around the final turn now, and he will be getting the white flag.
Yeah. There's Barney. I can just about make him out. Let's go back and see what's going on with these two. Well, it's not a great line from from Tony. Sorry. Much more smooth and fluid from Kenzie.
Yeah, you can't see, with those gaps there, you can't see much happening on this last lap, but you never know.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of wheel spin.
Yeah, like Greg just proved to us. Barney must have either one really strong right arm or just knackered right arm. Must be like you, Clyde. You got a really strong right arm.
Lots of training.
Oh, that's a drift. Oh, did you see that? That was class, but it was like inefficient, obviously. He's just dropped about 6 car lengths. Good catch though from Ant Woodward. These guys seem to have consolidated these positions.
Yeah, and race leader is coming up to the last turn. So season 12 champion is going to get his fight to retain his championship off to the best possible start with a win in round 1. Simon Trendle. Kenzie Newhoff is going to take second, and Tony Kloosterman takes the third step of the podium, with Adam Wright in 4th and Bob Woodhouse in 5th. Oh, big lock up there from
Alex.
Must have been Alex, yeah.
Yeah. Huge lock up actually.
Luckily he only had about 300 yards to do on those tyres.
Yeah. Not a lot left of Justas's car, it has to be said.
No, it's been like that from the start, hasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's not held him back at all. So there's only JB, I think it is, still to finish. His BSTV Esports blue car looks almost untouched. Excellent work. So your Heat 1 or Race 1 winner for the V8ESC Season 13 opening round was Simon Trendle for Team Chimera. Kenzie Newhoff was second for Hydra Race Racing Forces, with Tony Kloosterman for Never Quit Racing US in 3rd place. Rounding out the podium, 4th was Adam Wright, 5th was Bob Woodhouse, 6th was Stephen Phillips, with Nikolai Bogatarov in 7th, with Jamie Wilson following him home in 8th. Greg Carr in 9th. 10th was Ant Woodward. 11th was Rob Venn. Alex Civiliano Lado was in 12th. Andrew Wood was in 13th. Justas Stasiokis was 14th. JB Dejoux finished 15th. Ivan Bowman's 16th. And Vincent Skilbeck 17th, but didn't finish. Nor did Ivan, I don't think. Maybe he did, and I didn't see it.
No, he was just a lap down. I think
right.
Simon lapped him about 2 laps from the end.
I see.
But no real major surprises in that race, Pete. There was an interesting bit for me, the Tony and Kenzie, the way that Tony dropped him a bit at the start. Kenzie came back. Kenzie got past Tony. Kenzie then dropped Tony. Tony then came back at Kenzie. Um, I have a sneaky suspicion that was all about tyres.
Oh,
Um,
really?
which,
See, I don't think tyres is an issue with the new
oh,
tyre models. I'm
I
not
think it
sure.
is with this car.
What does your inside information tell you?
My inside information tells me that tyres aren't a problem.
Ah, okay then. Maybe. Well, you are
But
clearly right then.
yeah, I was gonna add to that. You know, practicing and trying to get quick laps in practice and racing somebody are two totally different ball games.
Yeah.
You get alongside somebody going into a corner and you floor it because you are desperate to get past them, and the rear wheels spin up and you lose all rear grip, which you don't do in a practice session because you're racing yourself. You are racing the clock. So I could be wrong. It has been known once or twice, but it was just the way that Kenzie was throwing the car about to catch Tony and then pass him and then get away from him. Um, Tony didn't. Tony doesn't, but he didn't go into panic mode and try and overdrive the car to get back at Kenzie. He just went, "Yeah, all right, fair enough. You're quicker at the moment." But then came back at him at the end when Kenzie probably used a bit more of his tyres than Tony had. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's a thing because that that's certainly going to make feature races a bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we know some people like to pit as early as they possibly can. Some people like to do it bang in the middle. Some people like to do it as late as they possibly can, and some people we just have absolutely no idea what they're doing. But how far is too far? Um, that's just gonna throw an interesting tactic into the mix for me, I think.
Yeah, and pit stops. It's not the most challenging of pit road entries, is it? It's quite a generous one in terms of it's not too narrow, it's not too tight, it's not too short. It's as Andrew Wood decides the last turn on the course needs shortening a little bit further and then buries it in the wall. It's quite generous in my opinion, as we watch Vincent Skilbeck doing standing starts. Obviously not happy with his standing start from race one. In terms of tactics, is there a big window or do we not know?
That information I haven't got. And because we're on a different fuel limit to last season, we're just going to have to wait and see how it pans out, I'm afraid.
Yeah, is the fuel
But
limit set for a specific scenario or not?
No, we shortened the fuel tank this season down to 70%. So we're going to have to wait and see how that affects things. Something that you just mentioned about the very very generous pit entry, pit exit, and pit lane. This may just be me. The easier it is to get into the pits, the more mistakes I make
Yeah.
getting into my pit box. If it's a really tricky pit entry, it suddenly focuses your mind. But when it's really easy, you lose focus. You can quite easily speed in the pits. You can quite easily, that was my pit. It can lead to mistakes when you've got an easy pit.
And to be fair, it's not worth talking to me about pit stops because they are the bane of my racing career. I've either missed my pit box completely, Donington, entered into the wrong pit road completely, Virginia International Raceway, had to reverse about 3 boxes back to get into my pit stall, Alton Park. They don't do very favourably for me, to be honest. There was something that happened at Mid-Ohio once where I ended up hitting a pit wall. Even Barber, which is one of my most successful tracks and one of my favourites, I ended up doing something on pit lane entry there. I can't remember what. This one for me does feel like the easiest of all the solutions. It's almost, once you get around that left-hander, it's almost a straight line. It's just a foregone conclusion. But you're right. You kind of lose your edge if it's too easy, right?
Yeah, my worst one was Spa.
Oh yeah, it's tight left-hander into it, isn't it?
So, well, the entry I got right. To tell the full story, so I decided not to qualify.
Oh yeah.
Therefore, I started at the back of the grid.
But
When
we
it was
used to
time
do that
pit,
as a tactic, though.
yeah, when it was time to pit, um, for those of you that don't know Spa, it's like a double pit lane. So you've got one row of pit boxes,
Yeah.
then you go round the corner, then you've got another row of pit boxes.
I remember this
And
one, by the way. Go on.
I drove right past the first row of pit boxes, turned the corner. I'm looking for my little man, and he doesn't appear. That's because I was on the row of pit boxes that I'd driven past. So yes, it can happen to the best of us.
Yeah, I do remember that one. It was quite funny. Bill Switzer doesn't like Road America's pit road, of course, because he was starting his barbecue on that one, hence getting his name. Hopefully he's watching. I have no idea. I know Stacey's watching, maybe. Who's Wild Rides? Is that or is that Stant?
Or Stacey, or so that's why we called him Stant.
Yeah, because we never know which one it is. The Mew has gone to do something called set it. He's going to boot up his console, Clyde. What does that mean?
I think it's when you sort of drop kick it out of the window and decide it's rubbish.
Yeah. Decide it's second rate to doing iRacing. Yeah, that must be what that means. PC building's taking longer than he thought, apparently. So he just needs to work faster, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's all down to him.
Yeah, too right. I don't know how long's left in this session. Oh, 1 minute, right, okay.
Only a minute left, yeah. It means we need to ask him every time he's on.
Yeah, too right.
Just put some pressure on him to get it done. So, for the folks at home that haven't watched before, this is a 10-minute warm-up session. Not usually many drivers take part. You might see some practicing pit stops. You might see some practicing starts. It's just to give the drivers a quick break between races, because you can imagine how sweaty you can get wrestling these beasts of cars round the track. But coming up in less than a minute will be our feature race, which is 60 minutes long, with a pit stop, and Woodward's going to be on reverse pole.
Oh, that'll be interesting. As is Johnny Brandon being on the chat. Why is XVR not in this? And do you want to join us in the booth for an interview? You've been very successful in the league, so it would be remiss of us not to include you in all of this.
He's not in the league because he's lost the edge.
That's fighting talk right there.
There you go.
I'll let you go through the starting grid, Clyde.
Okie dokie. So your reverse pole man is Mr. Ant Woodward for NQR Europe. Greg Carr goes off second for NQR. Jamie Wilson, Team Chimera, in third. Nikolai Bogotyrev, NQR Europe, in fourth. Stephen Phillips, fifth for Dashhound Racing. Sixth is Bob Woodhouse. Seventh, Adam Wright. Eighth is Tony Kloosterman. Ninth is Kenzie Newhoff. Race 1 winner Simon Trendle goes off in 10th. Rob Venn in 11th. And Alex Civiliano in 12th.
Sorry.
13th is Andrew Woodhouse. Eustace. Now, I was looking at this name earlier, and I was trying the the continental approach, Stasiocas,
Yeah, go on. What did you
but I
end up with?
decided on Stachiokas.
Right, okay. Stachiokas.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's
Um,
not right.
but I'm sure we'll get put right at some point. JB Dejoux goes off on 15th, Ivan Bowman's in 16th, and Vincent Skilbeck. Did he have problems in race one? Did he not have problems in race one? Is he using all of the internets in Australia? We'll never know. Goes off in 17th position. So, uh, timer has nearly run down, engines will start to rev, and lights will come on. We say it's a feature race, it's sometimes a 60-minute sprint race. Here come the lights.
Yeah, let's see if everybody gets
Green,
away.
green, green.
Johnny Brandon says he's going to jump into the booth in about 10 minutes.
Barney's rubbish. He didn't start waving his flag until after the cars
Oh
moved.
no! Everybody's
Weirdo.
just changed position, Clyde, according to my screen. Everybody's piling through turn one.
Well, he's round turn one, we can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, that's close. Everybody's close. Everybody's too wide. What's going on? Oh, Alex.
Simon
Kenzie.
Trendle and Kenzie Newhoff did about 3/4 of those S's side by side.
Yeah, they did.
But they've sorted themselves out now.
Oh, everybody's overtaking everybody again. Oh, it's Tony Klusterman overtaking Adam, I think. Or, no, Adam now got his position back. Oh, no!
Oh,
Who is that? That's Greg. It's
that's
Greg.
Greg.
Oh, he's dropping. I can't even get a camera on him. He's dropping that quick.
He's
There he is.
somewhere near the back by the time
Oh,
he's
he just got a little slap in the face from someone just for his worries there. And Woodward is trying to check out here. Right, everybody seems to be calm, if very, very racy at the moment. Turn one is our next target. Everybody's everywhere. Sorry. Whoa!
Stephen Phillips just slotted his car into a hole that didn't have room for a car. Vincent Skilbeck up to 11th.
He's doing really well. He's falling backwards now because he's done something.
I've just ruined that for him.
You commentator cursed him
I did,
very, very strongly.
Most definitely. That was... I used the force.
oh dear! I didn't know it was that. Gosh.
I'm convinced he's having some technical issues.
Yeah?
Because it was as if he didn't even try to turn there.
That was pretty brutal, it has to be said. He's going to have to pit that car. If he's not got front end suspension, steering, everything damaged, and that... Oh, he's pretty racy though, look at this! What's going on? Maybe in Australia he didn't actually hit the wall. So, first group of cars through turn one. They're all still together, Clyde.
Yes,
First
but
to
that
first to
does
10th.
tend to happen, doesn't it, in the feature race? Because in theory, you've got a slower driver at the front keeping people together.
Yeah.
Not that Ant Woodward is a slow driver, but you know, you haven't got the guy that sat on pole racing away.
No, you haven't. And Simon Trundle's kind of mired in the pack at the minute, so not
this
able
is
to do
where-
much.
This is where champions are made.
Yes. And we've seen him do this in previous races. He doesn't try and pile his way to the front straight away, does he?
No, definitely not.
No, much more patient approach. Risk nothing, gain everything. Oh, Jamie Wilson.
Oh, he had to back out of that one.
He did, but wow, he's racy. Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah, I think he missed the breaking point there.
Yeah. And he's been done by Adam.
Yeah, that was a gimme, wasn't it?
It was, but he's now been choked up by Adam, which means Tony
Yeah,
Klosterman's
but he's-
going to do him.
Yeah, I was going to say Tony's there as well now.
Oh no! Oh dear. I expected tears then. I still get them. Oh, dearie me. It seems so calm inside the car, doesn't it?
It usually does, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look at this. Outside the car, it looks crazy. What's going on? This is literally second back to 11th.
Yeah, and
Oh.
Nikolai are starting to pull a little gap up the front.
Yeah. This is Jamie Wilson fighting to stay in the... Oh, no, he's not. He's getting lots of wheel spin. That's Kenzie Newhoff underneath him now. And his own teammate, Simon Trundle's taking no time to get in there. Or he was. Yeah, so NQR Europe wide are trying to run away here.
Yeah, they've got hard chargers behind them that have been battling, so that possibly makes the gap look a bit easier than it actually is. You know, we've said it a number of occasions when somebody's disappearing up front. You know, guys behind, stop battling each other. Just run with each other and close that gap up, and then have a big battle.
Yeah. And Team Chimera are fighting each other at the moment, which is a feature of their racing team, to be honest. There's no team orders. Rob Van's doing alright for himself at the moment. He's currently in 9th place. He's up 2 positions. Most forward moving drivers are Adam and Tony Klosterman.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on incident points in this race because the little nasty 1Xs are quite easy to pick up on this track, so they can tally up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So I just see JB light up in red, so is he going?
Oh, that's weird.
A little bit eager on the loud pedal, I think.
Yeah, and then got overtaken by Ivan. I mean, you really do have to modulate the gas in this car more than any other car on the service.
A little bit of daylight creeping in between some of these races now.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie's doing a really good job of keeping the pressure on Kenzie. I just don't know how much Kenzie's bothered, if you know what I mean. He doesn't tend to be, does he?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't suffer from pressure of other drivers, does he?
No.
But it's maybe way too early in the season to be calling this one. In seasons gone by, Kenzie would have been second by now.
True. Yeah.
With possibly a lot of his car missing. Is this a new Kenzie that we're seeing?
It's always possible.
Ancient Kenzie.
Yeah. Absolutely possible to change in those ways, isn't it? We've seen it from other drivers previously. There's another driver we've not seen this season so far. Marco. Where is Namela?
Yeah, I think he died again.
He's died again?
Yeah.
Good grief.
Mr. Brandon has joined us. So what I'm going to do, Pete, is I'm going to drag Johnny in and take the opportunity to go and get myself some more of that there apple juice.
Okay then.
So here he is, Mr. Johnny Brandon.
Good evening, Johnny Brandon. How are you doing?
Hello. Is everything?
Yeah. That's all good. So, the new season of V8ESC, season 13, is underway, and XVR not yet, I'm saying that in hopeful terms, part of it.
There's a terrible echo here. I don't know why, but I'm hearing everything you're saying and myself twice.
Oh, that's good. I think you must have two audio devices active for your headphones or whatever. So we'll let you sort that out, and also think of how you're going to...
That's it. I think I've sorted it.
Hey, good stuff. In that case, XVR not yet part of season 13 V8ESC. Is that by design, or are you boys too busy in other leagues?
Yeah, not in other leagues, but we're doing a lot of the official stuff.
Right. Okay.
And it's a lot of hard work to put time in for this. I've literally just got back from Thailand myself 2 days ago. So the timing was a bit wrong, and we're going to miss a few of the other rounds. So I think we're probably going to give this season a miss, and probably be back next season.
No worries. I mean, you're always welcome in the booth to give your opinion on the driving standards and the way that the season's panning out. These guys are still uber competitive, as you can see at the minute.
It looks great at the minute. Simon's flying.
He really is.
Race one.
He was resplendent in race one. He's not having the run of it in race two. He's got a bit of a rolling roadblock in the form of the 7 cars in front of him. You feel like he's gonna, like, if he can get past his own teammates safely, and they do race one another, these two. There's no team orders. I think he would have a bigger pop at the likes of Kenzie and Stephen Phillips if he could do. So what are you guys racing then? Are you racing the V8 in officials, or is it other vehicles? Is it other classes of?
No, other vehicles. I never touched the V8, and none of us touched the V8. Oh, who's that spun?
That's Greg Carr. It looks like he's damage free, so it looks like it was all on his own, but we'll have a look at it later. Justus has been off track recently as well, but that's further up the track. It's all still very, very tight at the front, so we'll go back to that. So what are you guys racing, the Porsche?
Yeah, no, we're doing a bit of endurance stuff in the GT3s, the special events, and doing mainly racing the GR86, the little Toyota.
Right. Oh, that's a good car. That's Adam Wright getting it all wrong at turn 1, and now taking him nearly 3 wide into turn 2. Yeah,
he was looking like he was having a good race, Adam. There. It
was
a shame.
In true
He's still there. He's still there.
Yeah, true BSTV fashion, he gives it away faster than he gains it. So yeah, that GR86, that seems like a really fun car to throw around the track. Myself and Gary Craig had a pop in it just after it got released, and we had a blast on a couple of different tracks, to be fair.
Yeah, you know, it's the old adage for me, is that the slower the car, the better the racing generally.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly popular series in the officials on iRacing. I think there's, on average, between 15 and 20 splits in every race.
A bit like the Mazda MX-5 used to be once upon a time.
Yeah, I think they're doing a lot for it. And obviously attracts a lot of people.
Yeah, it will do. I mean, the fact that the car is free, it is a blast to drive. It felt very uber grippy, if you know what I mean. It was difficult to do anything wrong with it, but the racing was very, very competitive, as we see Adam trying to get back on terms with these Chimera boys, and Stephen Phillips popping out of the draft in order to do Nikolai into turn one. But yeah, the Toyota seems like a very positive addition to the iRacing service.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a bit of a V8 with a tenth of the power.
yeah.
Driving Star Wars it's a great little car. Like I said, it's all about the racing. The racing's great quality at the moment. You still have the odd bad one being officials, but generally speaking, it's pretty bloody good.
And the start of this season, although we've only had 1 and a bit races so far, what's your opinion on the racing standard?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it was great last season.
Alex had nothing to do but hit Rob Venn's car there. Hopefully there wasn't too much damage, although that the left-hand rear panels of that Mustang look like they've been properly caved in, and he's going to have a bit of trouble controlling that car, I expect.
I think, like you said earlier, you know, that can destroy you, or you can get away with it. It's a bit of an anomaly, the V8. It's iRacing in general, isn't it? It's
some of the cars
absolutely
feel like,
cripple your car, or you can get away with it. Hopefully, you got away with it.
What were we driving recently? And it was the new BMW LMDH. If you looked at it and frowned, it would just snap the axle and crab down the road and things like that.
That was only whilst you was driving.
It was only whilst I was driving it, but it was still true.
You have that effect on most cars, don't you?
Anyway, Clyde,
that's
do you want to talk to it?
anyway.
Because I've got bored now, funnily enough.
I was more interested in things that you touch that start crabbing.
Only when I touch myself inappropriately. Any questions for
watching this?
Any questions for Johnny?
No, not really.
No.
Balls and senseless, to be honest.
I'll tell you what I will say. Your theory about tyre wear is true, as it was last season.
Yeah, do you not think it's just from that sprint race? Do you? Obviously, you're used to driving these cars, and I'm not anymore. Do you think it's a bit more pronounced this season, or?
I think it's probably the same. It was pretty similar last season. I think obviously I haven't driven it this season, but it's not so much tyre wear, it's tyre heat that is the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you start getting a little bit scruffy, and I mean a couple of seasons ago, you spin the wheels up, the car's a bit slippy for the next corner. Now if you spin the wheels up, it's for the next lap.
Ooh, Adam's in the pits, sorry. I think that was Adam.
That's a very early stop, really, isn't it? Maybe not, actually. Maybe not. I mean, there's going to be 40 minutes to go by the time his car comes back out again, so maybe that's okay.
I think a lot of these guys are an early stop might be a good idea. If it looks like they're sitting in traffic and being patient, saving some fuel. If you think you can go a lot faster, an early stop's a good one.
My only worry with an early stop is the state of the tyres at the end of the race.
That is the concern.
I think, I've seen it so many times before, and I've done it myself. To do that early stop, you've really got to be patient, look after your stuff, and reap the benefits at the end. But you come out and you've got so much more grip than everybody else. You just do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, it's a fine line, because you're exactly right. You got to look after them to have some left at the end, but also to get that benefit, you need to push early on to gain that track position, and then you're relying on the fact that track position is king. So when your tyres are dead, you are in front, and you have the track position, and it is hard to overtake. Someone's got to have a very big advantage on the front guys to be able to overtake. So Yeah, it's a 50-50. You know, you definitely want to be pitted midway through the race and equal your tyres out. But if you feel like you can go faster, you'll sometimes take the risk of, okay, my car's going to be dead at the end, but at least I'll have track position if I can put some good laps in, because I can go a lot faster than I can now. So I would imagine that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, not a bad call. That not a bad call.
Seeing as how some of the rest of the field, Trendle's still in 5th, Tony's in 6th. You know, it might be a good shout because these guys are probably going to be held up for a little bit. So,
and new V8, excited?
I didn't know about it until you mentioned it the other day, or the other week.
God, you should have said. I could have sold you some information.
Yeah.
That's top secret. That's not top secret.
I am terrible for following news on iRacing, so it's, you know. Yeah, I mean, the new cars look nice, don't they, in real life?
They certainly do. Yeah.
Whether they're just going to swap the body shells over and keep the handling the same, or whether they're going to redo them completely, will be interesting. But certainly give them a look.
Well,
when are they coming out, do you know?
Well, the strong rumour is the beginning of March build. So
okay, not long at all.
Season 2, won't it, for iRacing groupies?
Mind you, you say that rain was coming at the start of last year.
Well,
Told into the room.
That's when I quit.
That will spice up everything, won't it? It'll be one of them situations where everybody wants something, and as soon as it comes, they'll hate it and wish it was never there.
I don't normally swear on these broadcasts, but it will be a shit show. Most of the people that scream for rain are the people that can't drive in the dry, and it is a whole new beast.
I qualify for that, I think, because I'm looking forward to the rain.
Yeah. But even you, Johnny, I will, you know, you just hit the nail on the head. People are, I want this, I want it, I want it, I want it, I get it. Oh my God, I wish we hadn't have got this.
I think that the attractive thing for me is that with sim racing, people can put a lot of time into practice, setups, and they drive to a certain break point and a certain turning point, and they can get into such a rhythm that you can be so good like that, you know. And I think rain will upset a lot of the established hierarchy, if you like.
Yeah,
because it'll add an unpredictability in there, and I quite like the idea of it, but I think the reality of it may be exactly what you're saying.
I think the racing will be absolute rubbish. However, I hope in the setup they do it properly, and rain is not a you can have rain or not, or you can have dry. I hope you can do like a random thing.
I've seen what they've said they're going to do, which is you can basically do everything. So you can have a dry race, you can have a wet race, you can set it to start raining at exactly 50% or exactly 60% or exactly 70% through the race, or you can set it to completely random.
Yeah.
So you have no idea, and the forecast could be sunny and suddenly it starts raining for 10 minutes. You know, that would be amazing. It's no good having it predictable.
No, we also
defeats
need
the reason, the purpose.
We need an admin rain button. So
yeah,
we're doing a broadcast, and like I type Pete a message. This is really boring me, and I hit the rain button.
Yeah, normally whenever I'm in the lead, Johnny's leading, hit the rain button. That's it. Yeah. That'd be great for me in this league. I have a funny feeling.
Will there be a monsoon button for that?
Yeah. It'll only be for certain corners as I approach them.
It's amazing. It's dry around the rest of the track.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to rain. I think if it's done right. The one thing I'll say, you know, iRacing tend to do things properly. So I'm trusting that it will be great, because you get rain on ACC, you get rain on P cars, on all these other platforms, and it looks amazing, but it's nothing like driving in the rain. They haven't got it right at all. So I'm hoping that, you know, just little things like having to stay off the racing line in certain corners because of the effect it has on the rubber of the racing line. You know,
Yeah.
If they get it right, which I think if anyone's going to iRacing will, then it could be amazing and add a level of unpredictability, which would be great for leagues, especially this one.
I would also like the option of wet and dry tyres.
Well,
And it
they'd
doesn't-
have to do that. They'd have
No,
to do
as
that.
in, it doesn't matter what the track state is. So, you know, we get people that start races on qualifying fuel. I
Right.
would like to see people start races that have had a wet qualifying on a dry track. Oh shit, I forgot to change my tyres.
Yeah, that's it. Well, if it's personal choice, that
Oof.
could potentially happen. So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
But then I bet we get some quirk where the wet tyres are quicker than the slicks.
Yeah, and you know, you go on the grass to cool them down and make them brand new again. There's typical iRacing things. But no, I'm going to stay faithful to it. I think they do things well, iRacing. Ooh. I
Well,
like that
we will see.
overtaking move, but yeah.
That's like the ultimate dive bomb, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
race leader.
The only problem is it'll probably be 2027 before it turns up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are posting more and more pictures, aren't they? So that's usually a sign that it's, well, I wouldn't say imminent, but, you know.
And they've added windscreen wipers and a button to assign windscreen wipers on all the cars now, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it can't be far away.
Hashtag soon.
Indeed.
So just round on his own.
Just Stasiokis.
That's a new driver to the car issue, that, isn't it? Just a little bit too keen.
No,
We've
it's
all
not,
been
because
there.
I've done that loads.
Yeah, but you're rubbish. I'm pretending he's okay.
Oh dear. So we've had our one-time race leader in, and he's come out only just ahead of Adam. So Adam has made the provisional hay, Clyde.
Yeah, which is what you've got to do, isn't it? That's what Johnny was saying earlier. You know, it is a fine balance. Like I say, you come out, you catch people up, and you've suddenly got so much more grip than they have. You've got to use it to get past them to benefit later in the race, but you don't want to use it all up and have nothing at the end and have to try. Well, especially on a track like this that's 17 miles wide and difficult to depend on.
If it's anything like last season, which I imagine it is with the tyre wear, he'll want to get past Ant Woodward pretty quick, and you only get the benefit of the tyres being great for about 3 laps. After that, they drop off, and then it's all about heat. That, you know, the only thing you can do is negatively affect them by pushing too much. So he does not want that car in front of him at the moment. So Ant will probably have the good tyres and be able to stay ahead for 2-3 laps, like I say, with the freshness, and then he'll want to get past him as soon as possible and just control his own pace.
Trendle is going to come out in front of this battle.
Yeah.
Minute battle you there, Kenzie?
Saving fuel.
Saving fuel. See, greener, more environmentally friendly racing gets you in the lead.
It's all quiet. Nobody knows what to say to that.
Well, yeah, it's like the opposite of what you expect to hear from racing, isn't it? Where we're making our way through oodles of fuel.
That's
and
what
rubber
happens
tires.
when Greta Bingham gets on his soapbox.
That's class. Greta Bingham. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that'll be pretty disheartening for Adam, I think, to see Simon up there ahead of him.
Well, and Dan Woodward, because Anne's just pulling away from him now.
Yeah, I think that's the tyres initially.
yeah.
I think that'll level off. I think to see Trendle come out, he'll want to try and keep close to him. Obviously, Trendle's going to pull away for a couple of laps with the new rubber, but yeah, that's his gauge, I think, for Adam, is Trendle.
We do have 7 drivers in double figures on incident
What?
point.
Really?
And
Wow.
we are not halfway through yet.
Taking a bit too much of those curbs. They've been listening to you, Clyde. Straight line in the chicanes.
Yeah, it is one of those awful tracks, isn't it? It's so easy to pick up a 1X around here.
To be fair, I actually like this track. A lot of people moan about it. I prefer the full version.
Yeah,
But I think it's a good flowing track. It's got a bit of everything.
I hate this section.
It's one of the best sections.
It's pointless.
Pointless. Is this the one where you said it should be just a straight line?
Yeah.
Right.
I think Justice was getting out of the way then.
He was, yeah. He's already... Oh, no, he hasn't been in the pits yet.
Has Tony pitted?
Yeah, Tony was one of the earlier ones to pit. He's quite a way back in 10th at the moment. Kenzie has just entered pit road.
Yeah.
Tony had good pace in race 1, didn't it? Surprising to see him back there.
He was pretty competitive, actually, yeah. I don't know how much practice he's put in. Maybe plenty, but... yeah, you're right. He was... I don't think we saw him at the top end of the finishing order very often last season. He was the victim of his own and other people's crashes, so it'd be interesting to see how far forward he can actually get this season.
And he's on the way out.
Yeah, but
It's
Simon's
interesting to
passed
see where he filters into this battle.
ahead of Ant Woodward. Oh no.
Ahead of Adam.
Yeah, ahead of Adam, sorry, yeah.
This is where Adam will be saying to you, why did I pit early? Why did I pit early?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a task on his hands now, making those tyres work, trying to keep up with those guys.
We've got quite a battle for third place, which starts at Ant Woodward there.
Yeah, which again is going to help Simon.
Yeah, and, well, yeah. Alex Sevillano Lado is still to pit. He's probably going to come in reasonably soon, I would think, or otherwise he's going to get mega disadvantaged. Unless you leave it as long as you can and then pit for fresh tyres at the end, but I don't see the major advantage in doing that in this car.
Well, yeah, I suppose it depends on what pace you've got. Is anybody slowing you down? Can you still hit your numbers? I suppose you could take it to the end of the fuel tank. You got a very shortish stop. You'd be waiting on tyres rather than fuel, and then maybe you can just push to the end and see what happens. But so many different tactics, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
That is something that we've seen in this league on numerous occasions, and sometimes you think one way is right, and then the next race somebody proves it totally wrong and does something totally different.
So
We've
Johnny,
had undercuts, we've had overcuts, we've had everything, haven't we?
We have.
Power cuts.
So Johnny, has XVR got any goals for this 2023 year?
No, we're not that organised, Pete.
Well, you're not, right? Okay, fair enough.
Racing is probably the goal, and just trying to do as much racing as we can. So the next time you see me, I'll have gone from a 5k driver down to about a 3.5k driver, probably.
All because of the Toyota GR86.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fine. It's probably good to not have too many hard and fast goals, to be fair. It keeps it
to be fair, the
enjoyable.
goal is to have fun.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to start taking it all a bit too seriously, get a bit too competitive. It ruins the enjoyment when things go wrong. You've got to try and keep that balance of just having fun, I've been there, and you end up wanting to smash up your computer and everything when somebody makes a mistake. It's no good. You're taking it too seriously. So the goal is to enjoy it more.
I was going to ask Clyde who we were talking to. It sounds like Johnny Brandon. Sounds like his voice. Because we've observed how passionate you are about racing, particularly in the V8, obviously, because that's what we've watched you drive, highly successfully. But seen you get very impassioned about it over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen again in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is to try and chill. Like I say, it's very easy to start taking it all a bit too seriously. Ultimately, it's just a bit of fun, which is what this league's all about, and what it should all be about.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
sportsmanship's a big piece of it as well, I think, and the guys that we have in this league are epitomes of that, really, aren't they? They embody, safe and fair driving. You don't see many punts anymore, certainly not ones that aren't redressed.
That is exactly what you get from a league.
Yeah.
And a league like this, you're racing with, that's the benefit of it, because you're racing with the same people. You're able to build that rapport and build that respect that everybody leaves each other room, and generally that when something happens, it's a mistake, as opposed to random people every hour that you have no idea who they are, and some people do it on purpose, some people you haven't got a clue what's going on. Obviously, I'm not including myself and Tony in that conversation. But yeah.
Stephen, he's moving forward quick, Clyde. Stephen Phillips.
I was literally, as you was talking there to Johnny, I was going to say that Stephen has got past Adam on his old tyres. And Simon Trendle is not dropping Kenzie Newup. I don't think this race is done and dusted yet.
No, and oddly, Alessandro Sevillano Ledo is not yet pitted. JB's just let him through.
Yeah, I was going to say there could be some team tactics, but he's a bit too far up the road for that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the gap between Simon and Kenzie there. 1.8 seconds, that is, at the minute.
Yeah.
How long was Simon's pit stop compared to Kenzie's? Has Simon a little bit less fuel in and needs to save a bit?
You're asking him to press buttons that he's not used to pressing.
So Simon's, contrary to Clyde's thoughts about my capability, I've been working on this for a long time on the TCRs. His pit time was a pit lane time was 45.93 with a 14.18 stop time, and Kenzie's was a 46-second pit lane time with a 14.87 pit time. So there's only 0.7 of a second in it.
Kenzie's just done the fastest lap of the race, and I also think something happened to Ant Woodward because Simon Phillips has got past him.
Right.
It takes about a second a gallon of fuel.
Right.
4 litres, so there could be a little bit in that.
Could be. Oh yeah, he's gone super wide and let Stephen Phillips through there. Bit of pressure applied and he's buckled a little. It's still on for Ant Woodward, clearly.
Yeah, Kenzie fastest lap of 1:33.1.
Yeah, very similar to Simon's fastest at the minute, but what's that? Half a hundredth between them.
Going on Simon's pace from race 1, I'd say he's looking after his car, he's looking after his tyres or fuel or something, but he wouldn't want to let him get much closer, because once he gets into the tow, it'll be a lot harder to shake him off.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. It's bobbing around the 1.5 second mark at the moment. Anything inside a second, or rather half a second to a second, is tow territory in this car, isn't it, Johnny?
That was 2.4 seconds at one point.
Was it?
I think it depends on the track as well.
Yeah, true. Big long straights here, though, right?
There is on the full circuit. I don't know about this one.
True. Yeah, this is the West, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the front stretch is fairly long, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you can get a bit there.
And then 77,000 different lines into turn 1 helps.
Yeah, 16 buses wide, that is.
Yeah.
It depends on people's gearboxes and setups as well. You know, if somebody's got a bit lower wing and gone with a more aggressive gearbox, you gain that toe and maximize it in the initial acceleration as opposed to getting it at the end of a straight if you've gone with a longer gearbox
Yeah,
and a bit more
right.
downward. So it depends on the car setups of each of the drivers, and we don't know what they are. So
I think you lost Pete at gearbox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't use that. So this four, ooh, that was a bit wriggly there from Jamie Wilson, but these four are inseparable at the minute. Tony Klusterman's in a bit of a no man's land of his own behind this group.
I'm surprised he's so far back. He was flying in race
Yeah,
one.
I'm trying to figure out why, and I'm not able to answer my own question there, to be honest. He's not got damage. I can't see anything on the event tracker. He was stationary in his pit box for a lot. Well, sorry, his pit lane time was a lot longer than everybody else's. So whereas the likes of Simon was in there for 46 seconds, we'll call it, he was in there for 55 seconds, but his stationary time was only 2 seconds longer. So don't know what the crack is with that. He was about 5 laps earlier than everybody who is ahead of him, with the exception of Adam, obviously, who pitted on the 11th lap of the race.
Yeah, don't forget Tony quite freely admits that he's rubbish at saving fuel.
Yeah. That will also be a feature of it, for sure. His is the longest pit stop of anybody in the race, with the exception of Justice, but he had to repair damage. Not a lot that. Who would that be? Alex, I think.
No, that would
No?
have been Kenzie.
Oh dear! In that case, that could be very important later on in the race.
Because Simon caught Ivan coming onto the front straight, which was the ideal place.
Right.
And there's no... That gap has gone out to nearly 4 seconds. So yeah, that was definitely Kenzie.
Again, although it's just a small tap on the front end of the car, that can, if you're unlucky, that can massively affect your power all through the range.
Yeah. Some of these cars. Is that a drive of shame from Ivan? I think it is. You know.
No.
No.
Yes, sorry, it was.
Ah, okay. So Ivan's hit the
That,
incident limit.
That little kerfuffle there with Kenzie must have pushed him over the limit.
But yeah, those incidental nudges and bumps can do a lot on the iRacing cars to impede your forward progress.
I've had massive collisions that cost me absolutely nothing, and if anything, the car feels better. And then I've had the tiniest contacts, and it's cost me a second a lap.
Yeah.
So
bizarre.
yeah, it's pure luck how it turns out. Just avoid contact at all costs.
Yeah. During the Daytona 24 hours practice that we were having, Wobbly nudged a wall and ended up snapping a wheel off the car, and then slammed into the wall at full pace square on when somebody else nudged him off track, and his car went on normally. It was just bizarre. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's very random, it would seem.
Jamie Wilson's closing in on Adam Wright now, properly.
Unless your name's Nick or Foggy, and then the damage never affects you. I just have to add that bit in there.
Is Nick All still racing for XVR?
He comes in with us now. He races Vapex now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Because he thinks he's a big lad, and he's
Sold his
got
soul
these
for a
grandeurs,
penny.
these illusions of grandeur. So We'll let him go and find out that he's actually rubbish, and he'll be back soon. Well,
We have a couple of drivers on 14 incident point.
Really? Good
oh,
grief.
what's your limit? 15.
Yeah,
15.
There's a long way to go.
it is. We're got a quarter of an hour or more to go. Ooh, that's tight. Oh dear, that's messy. So that's Alex Sevillano Lado and Vincent Skilbeck getting together. We'll have another look at that in a second. Alex clearly thought it wasn't him, seeing as he's set off down the road. Talk us through this, Clyde.
It's definitely him.
Definitely Alex, isn't he? He's dive bombed that one. Yeah.
I think he actually had a look there about giving him the place back and then realised that he was placing in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and gonna
And
give a
decided
whole
again.
load back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say Skilbeck can be a bit of an anomaly with his Australian connection, but
Yeah, we've seen
That
that a
one.
few times. Yeah.
that wasn't the case there, though.
No. That was a bit of a send that never came off.
Okay, we've got a drive of shame for, I'm going to say it as it is, Justas Stacky. What did I say? Stacky Ocas.
Yeah.
That was it.
And in he goes.
I reckon he's going to hear me say that and go, do you know what? I'm going to get everybody to call me that from now on because that's much better than my name.
You say it's a driver's shame. I think you just absorbed half of his shame by trying to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
And
And he's stopping.
No, he reset to his
He's
box. As he
reset. So
may be out of the car. He may be out of the car. I mean, this track is a bit like Spa used to be, isn't it? It's a 1X magnet. It's lots of corners.
Skilbeck, drive of shame.
Oh.
Don't know if that was that previous incident that pushed him over the edge.
I would expect it was. Ooh, dear. Andrew Woodward. Woodwood.
Housewood.
Woodhousewood. That's what we're going with, isn't it? Yeah. Got it all well out of shape there. And Vincent's not serving yet.
Yeah, you say Spa's a bad one, and this
Well,
is
it
similar.
used to be, didn't it? They've redone it, and it's
I
actually
don't
quite
think
tame.
so, really. I think it was all right. I think the problem was they allowed unlimited 1Xs, didn't they? And
At one time,
it
yeah.
was so much faster if you took the 1Xs at Spa that it just become normal to take them because you could gain so much speed, I think.
I think
Ultimately.
Spa was better when it had the old off tracks. Keep people in the white lines.
Yeah, and just exactly, and just set sensible off-track limits like 15. And yeah, everybody moans about the limits in the special events, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
I think there used to be hundreds, and now they've gone down to 50. We just don't go off track. It's quite simple.
Welcome.
That was always my argument.
Clyde is a white lines fascist, though, in that.
Right, as well. I think that the racetracks within the white lines.
Oh, really? You can see loads of people in real world racing taking, liberties at certain corners, unpunished. If we're going to simulate...
They're not unpunished, are they? They're getting 1Xs.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like there's loads of people in prison, Pete. It doesn't make it all right, does it?
Well... Depends what
I need to remember that one.
Yeah. He's going to use that now,
I am.
Giving him,
every day.
Material to have a go at me with.
But no, my argument is always, why bother painting white lines on the track if they don't mean nothing?
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
That's why I think they should really cut the off-track. The one problem that goes against this argument of having really low X totals, incursion totals, is that if someone behind you hits you and gives you 4, you're in trouble. It's not completely in your control. So that is an argument against it, but I'd love it if they just made it like 10 maximum for off tracks. If they could
Sure.
differentiate between the contact and the
That's
actual off track,
exactly what I was going to say.
yeah,
This is don't forget, this is a game. Sorry, people, but it's a game.
yeah.
It is run on algorithms, a bit like your Amazon shopping.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's an algorithm that can differentiate between contact and non-contact.
And I always think that surely they can differentiate between front end contact and rear end contact. So if it's front end contact, you get the incursions. If it's rear end, you don't. I can't see how that's difficult.
No, that would be shockingly sensible, to be honest, because that's how insurance works in the UK, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, some people will brake check and abuse it, but generally speaking, it'd be a lot better. And I can't believe it's that hard. We should just create our own iRacing program, shouldn't we, Clyde? It wouldn't be difficult.
Yeah,
I wouldn't use it. Because I think now that you're both white line fascists.
It wouldn't be worth it for you, Pete, would it? You'd only do one lap at every track and you'd be banned for 3 weeks.
So this race is yet again back on. So this is Jamie closing down Adam Wright. Oh, and they've got a kind of slow moving Ant Woodward in front of them at the moment. Don't know why he's moving so slow. Has he lost all the grip in his rear tyres, do you think?
well, again, it goes back to that question on how has he been abusing them.
Yeah.
In theory, his tyres should be a hell of a lot better than Adam Wright's because Adam pitted first. But that's not always the way it works in practice.
No, true.
Inside the last 10 minutes, but there's still a way to go.
Yeah, Simon Trendle is your race leader, folks. He's got a masterful 9-second lead, believe it or not, over Kenzie Newhoff, who is way back here at the hairpin, who in turn has 4 seconds over Stephen Phillips. And then it gets a bit tasty. So we've got Ant Woodward, Jamie Wilson, and Adam Wright all really on the same corner that they're fighting for. Then we've got 7 seconds nearly to Tony Klusterman, who is equally 7 seconds over his sister team mate of Nikolai Bogotyrev. Alex Sevillano Ledo is in 9th, and he's got 3 seconds behind Nikolai and 9 seconds over Greg Carr. So we're a bit spread out at the minute, Clyde, apart from around this Ant Woodward, Jamie Wilson, Adam Wright battle.
Yeah, and a battle, again, these three have all got different aged tyres. So who has been looking after them, who hasn't, who wishes the race had already finished, and who wants another 50 laps.
Yeah.
It's always those sort of questions. Someone whose tyres are struggling, if they can hold on for another, 5 minutes, does that equalise the tyres? There's, even at this late stage in a 1 hour race, there's still too many questions to be answered.
The thing with this car, all it takes is one wheel spin, one moment of panic, and you're struggling for at least half a lap.
Yeah.
At least. And that's more than enough for somebody to catch up a second. It's very easy to do.
Yeah, in this car more than most. But it, just watching who are we on board with at the moment. Simon Trendle. Simon's a very smooth driver, but you see this car and what it can do to people's driving. You'll see every now and again just a little reverse flick of the steering wheel, just because the car's just trying to break away from him, but just manages to get it back. And that's the difference between the good drivers and the bad drivers.
Yeah,
For
I think
me,
it's more. I think as well, it's it's a lot easier to do that and be that smooth and confident and comfortable when there's nobody right up your ass.
yes,
I think when there's
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
right
yeah.
behind you,
yeah.
even Trendle would be a little bit more twitchy than what he is, and like I say, it doesn't take a lot. It's
But the
pressure's
good,
a powerful thing.
I think what I'm getting at is the good drivers get themselves in those positions, don't they? You know, we've seen you do it on numerous occasions. We've seen Foggy do it. We've seen Tony do it. You know, you get to that place where you can back off a couple of percent, and your driving becomes a lot smoother and things like that, just purely because you've driven so well. You've got no pressure on you.
Yeah, all right. So that's a fair comment. I mean, Simon's in a league of his own at the moment. He's enabled himself to take it easy and cruise round and make it look super smooth. But trust me, if Kenzie was right behind him, there's just
Yeah,
as much chance of
exactly.
him spinning the wheels up as there is,
Yes.
I don't know, Adam Wright spinning the wheels up. It's it's that sort of car. It does not take a lot.
You know, it's just there with Jamie, opposite lock.
Yeah. And with Ant Woodward in front of him just there as well.
And it's not just a defence thing. It's when you're pushing. You know, who's
There we go
Jamie
again.
trying to catch? And Woodward. If you're right, he's going to be pushing to have a go. And look at him. He's doing a lot of opposite lock there, and it's not going to do his tyres
And
anyway.
again, yeah.
It's quite surprising last season how much of an effect being behind another car has as well. I'm not sure you guys realise it has quite a big effect. You get a lot more understeer, and then that generates heat in them and makes it exponentially worse. It's one thing you get the toe, but it almost cancels it out if you're too close. And on certain tracks, it's really bad. And I would imagine this is quite a twisty track. I'd imagine it's quite bad here.
Oh,
No, he's just broken the toe. He's not interested in.
I thought he'd had a twitch and
No, he's just
heading off there.
trying to keep Jamie away from him, but
Jamie would probably like that, to be honest.
yeah, it gives him a better swing into turn one, doesn't it? Really. He's going to get a good run here. Nice overtake. Oh, he's not got it done though. Oh, now he has. Now he has.
Now, yeah.
Slam the door shut.
I'll tell you something. Great run by Stephen Phillips.
He's
Up there
doing
in
very
third.
well.
He was
New York
great
will
in
be
both
proud.
races. He's been good in both
Yeah.
races, hasn't he?
He has.
One of the top drivers of the night for sure.
He's going to get a podium if he doesn't make any mistakes. We've got only 4 minutes left.
Do you know what happened to Bob Woodhouse as well? Because he was right up there in race one, wasn't he?
Yeah, a
At good
driver's
pace.
shame for Ant Woodward.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
God, out of 5th place. Bob Woodhouse, he had a spin right at the very start, I think. Hang on.
Yeah, Bob's had good pace, hasn't he?
He
Yeah.
has, for a few seasons.
I think he was running fourth in race one, wasn't he, for a while?
Yep, he was. I'm pretty sure that right at the start, yeah, he pitted reasonably early, and he had a crash with Ivan after he'd done his pit stop. So I think he's been walking wounded since, or rolling wounded. Adam Wright closing in on Ant Woodward now, but not by much. Oh, God almighty. I hate it when they do that. I know it's just Cota, but...
Yeah.
Do you not say he's got a driver's shame? Ant
Yeah,
Woodward?
Ant Woodward has got a driver's shame coming up. He will be getting the black flags. Let's hope he takes it, otherwise he's going to get a time penalty at the end of the race.
And the time penalty is about 6 hours, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
totally exponentially punishing.
I think either or is pretty bad when you're in fifth place.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, does it really matter?
with 2 minutes to go and an hour-long race, I'm not sure he's bothered what one happens.
No, good point. Yeah, we had this one a second ago. I'll try and get this in quickly before the end of the race. It's a good drive off that corner or a bad drive off that corner. You decide. The end of the lap. Done deal.
Simon Trendle, I believe, has just started the final lap.
Yep, there's Barney waving for his worth. And Ant Woodward has not pitted the car.
He's out, so he's more interested in the racing than the finishing position.
Which is fair enough. Ooh. Jamie Wilson getting a whole load of tyre smoke out of turn 1. I mean, it's great to see racing right to the end. It's definitely a feature of this V8 league.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a technical track. This, I think you're going to be a lot closer at a lot of the other tracks, the more usual tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's so complicated. I mean, how many turns has this track got? I know it's not just a count of turns, it's the complexity. It's got about 20 at least.
Depends on whether you count them as a Brit or an American.
Well, with an American, it's probably 142, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that includes A, B, and
somewhere
C's.
in that region.
Yeah.
So Simon Trendle comes over the line for a double win in the first meeting of the season.
Kenzie Newhoff, not far behind him, really.
No, and I can tell you now why Kenzie didn't push or try and push back to Simon. It's because for the last 15 minutes he's been on 14 incident points.
Whoa. And as soon as he crossed the line, he got out of the car. He didn't want to take any chances on getting any additional incident points. And Woodward came through pit lane at the very end there. So he did serve. I don't know whether that counts or not.
I think that's too late because I think the start-finishing line is
Right at the start.
Yes. Yeah. I think we've seen this before, haven't we, Clyde? People think they've done it and they'd still get the punishment. So, I think he's in a bad place.
The finish line is at the start of the straight.
Yes. Something happened here, and I don't know what it was. That's Rob Venn. Whoa! How did he not connect? But I'm glad he didn't. So both drivers get to finish the lap. Well, certainly eventful, Clyde.
Yeah. Masterful by Simon Trendle, maybe.
Pretty masterful. Only the very best drivers can get double race wins in one evening. We all know that.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive.
But I think the way he did it in race 2, you know, every time he looked up at the leaderboard, he was 10th, and he was 8th, and he was 6th, and he sat in 6th for ages.
I think from race 1 he had so much pace. He knew he had that in his pocket, and he just cruised. It was super impressive.
Not going to disagree. Carried on where he left off last season. Like I say, let's run through the official result anyway. Oh yes, Antwood has been dropped down. So Simon Trendle takes away the win in the feature race for Team Chimera. Kenzie Newhoff in second for Hydra Racing Forces. Impressive. Stephen Phillips gets a podium for Dash Hound Racing. Jamie Wilson, Team Chimera in 4th, and Adam Wright, BSTV Esports Green in 5th. Tony Kloosterman comes home 6th with Alex Civiliano Lado in 7th. Nikolai Bogotyrev comes home 8th. Greg Cart in 9th, and Andrew Wood rounds out the top 10. And Woodward, with that black flag, got dropped all the way down to 11th. Rob Venn in 12th. Rob Woodhouse in 13th, JB Dejoux 14th, Ivan Bowmans in 15th, and the non-finishers, Vincent Skilbeck in 16th, and Justas Stakiokas in 17th. So what about you, Pete? Masterful from Simon, or tactical from Simon, or was he just bloody lucky?
No, I don't think luck played too much of a role in it. Commanding is how I'd describe that win. I think
Not commando.
No, that's
No.
just what I'm doing right now.
Ah, right. Okay.
I think he's been very, very patient and very, very calm and collected about the strategy that he wanted to take, and it's paid off for him beautifully, as probably he planned to. I think that's a great way for him to start the season. A great start to the season for Team Chimera.
I think he was just lucky I wasn't racing personally.
I think he was lucky Pete wasn't racing.
Yeah, everybody would be dead.
We would have had to try and get past him about 7 times.
Funny guy. Anyway,
Fantastic performance from Simon.
Yeah.
Totally in his pocket.
Brilliant.
Supreme pace there.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Be nice to see Adam Wright and Tony be up there in the next few rounds. I'll be keeping an eye on it. It's had some issues there, didn't they? But great drives.
Yeah, Tony had. Well, we'll talk to him shortly. Tony had amazing pace in practice and qualifying. Didn't really. Well, I suppose race
A
one.
bit lead foot Tony, isn't he? I think he just
Yeah.
heats the tyres a little bit sometimes and gets a bit unlucky.
Yeah, that could be the answer, but we'll see. Still waiting for our race winner to join the booth.
Stephen Phillips, probably the most impressive one for me up there in third, and Jamie Wilson, fourth place, is pretty good for Jamie in a feature race.
Yeah. Just having
I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
A quick look at them. Anyway, Simon Trendle has arrived, so let's get him in the booth. Simon Trendle, welcome to the booth.
Evening. Sorry, I just literally joined the booth and I wasn't expecting that.
Well, we try and wait until you're halfway through explaining something before we drag you in the booth.
No, I was rubbing my eyes because I've had the VR headset on for about 2 hours.
Right. Okay. So, we was trying to think of words to describe your performance.
Mediocre.
We've had masterful. We've had
Commanding.
What did you say, Pete?
Commando.
Yeah. Pete thinks you're driving nude. Can't remember what Johnny said.
I said he was lucky.
Lucky. That was it. Yeah.
That's probably the most accurate one.
No, fantastic drive, mate.
You have carried on where you left off last season. Tell us all about your races.
I'm as surprised as you, to be honest. I thought I was on the pace, but I didn't expect me to have that. I'm guessing it was just the tyre wear. I don't know, because there was that second race. Kenzie was behind me, having just come out the pits a lap after me, and was reading me in by like half a second a lap, until his tyres seemed to just die, and then I was doing the inverse of that.
Yeah, there was a bit more to it than that. I don't know if you can remember lapping Ivan Bowman's. You managed to catch him right at the start of the main straight. Kenzie had a little incident with him, which dropped the gap back to about 4 seconds, but also pushed him to 14 incident points, which is why he didn't push after that, we believe.
Right, that explains that then. Because I was managing to keep on the track mostly. I think I only got a couple of incidents in each race. So.
And again, that's part of it. That's how you score big points, isn't it? It's not just winning races, but if you can do it by not getting many incident points, you maximise those points that you get.
Yeah, I don't think I got many more. that's good going, I think. So yeah, tough track, destroys the tyres, low on fuel consumption, so you can run long, but you don't want to. So I think everyone was pitting halfway. I know Adam pitted quite early. As far as I can hear from Jamie, that was a decision he probably regretted.
Yeah, we think so. He did seem to struggle in the second half of the race. But from our perspective, it looked all very under control from you. Did it feel like that in the car?
Yes and no. I mean, in the first race, I didn't get any bad starts. That's the first point. But I noticed that Tony and Kenzie were both having a bit of a side-by-side moment behind me, which gave me about a second or two gap. So on the first race, I just backed off and just sort of managed the tyres for a bit. I thought they'll catch me back up, and then I assumed that's what I did and made that work. And then the second race, I was just obviously sitting there biding my time while the traffic thinned out. You know, Kenzie and Tony weren't too far up the road, you know, all catchable distance. So I was just sitting there. I was surprised to come out where I did. I think I jumped both Adam, who pitted really early, and Woodward. I'm not sure how that worked out, but yeah, went better than expected. But yeah, need to repeat that more often.
Yeah, well, you know, Johnny did say, you know, it does take a class driver to get a double race win. You've managed that
Is he
tonight.
saying that because he's had his multiple by himself?
No, of course not.
He said a lot of things that don't normally come out of Johnny Brandon's mouth tonight, so we're not quite sure if it's really him or not. But any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yep, obviously to everyone who's turned up, because it's a great league. It's a shame the grid's a bit smaller than last season, but you know, ebbs and flows as it was. It's still a great league. Jamie for being a teammate. Obviously we've got Andrew Wood, who's I don't know that well because he's from the CIS side or IndyCar side that Jamie does, but good to have him aboard. And he's obviously new to the car. Drove it for the first time last week and is just getting to grips with it, so he didn't do too bad to finish close to the top 10. You guys for the league and the broadcast, it's good to see you back, Clyde, and Simability for sponsoring the league.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on a massive points haul for yourself tonight. 2 first places, Simon Trendle.
Cheers. See you in it.
Well done, Simon.
Right. I suppose we better get the Kloosterman in for you, Pete.
Okay. Good evening, Tony. How you doing?
Very well. You caught me mid-sentence there.
Excellent. That's what we
Yes.
always aspire to do. Clyde thinks it's especially funny if he catches people still talking, actually. So, second race, you finished 7th, which was a position up from your start place. You ended up in a bit of no man's land in that one for the middle portion of the race after the pit stop. In the first race, did you finish 3rd? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah.
Third.
Second,
Third.
third. One of them
Third.
two. They're both
Third.
very good.
Not first.
Not first.
Right.
But it seemed to be that you were on the pace straight away at the beginning of the season. In both of them, to be honest. I think the second race, your pit stop was a bit longer than everybody else's, and I'm not entirely sure why.
Oh, the cameraman must not have caught my entrance.
No, I didn't. Tell us all about it.
The amount of time I spent up against the wall, I completely missed it. I hit the wall. I had to reverse, and then, so I lost. I don't know how much time. Maybe 10, 12 seconds, enough for about 5 positions, anyways. I think.
Well, you'll be glad to know that I'm trying to find it at the moment. I'm sure it's here somewhere. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be happy with the 3rd place in the first race. Some of these guys are super fast these days. We're about to see this.
Yeah.
Clyde, hand me the popcorn.
Yeah, really. Oh God.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
There's the first
that was
bit.
where it all started going wrong.
Ding.
Oh,
Rang the bell on that bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cameraman's
the
just
first
been
race,
sacked. So.
First race was good. I think I had decent pace, but my intention was to have a couple of good results today. So I succeeded in the first one. I knew Kenzie was a little bit faster, and purposely let him by. there at the top of turn 1, and then I just stayed with them. We had a good gap back to 4th place, so I was just looking for points. It's been a long time since I've been on a podium, so that was the mission today. And the second race, I think we could have podiumed there too if I hadn't made my little error on pit entry.
Yeah, and Ant Woodward, he's pretty quick this season already. The only problem is he likes his off tracks.
Yeah, I was lobbying for 25 tracks for the drive-through in the. But I guess that didn't happen. So, it's unfortunate. I think he got the drive-through with 3 laps to go, and he didn't serve it. So that's why he got knocked back a position or a lap, I guess.
Yeah, he tried to serve it, but he tried to serve it on the final lap, which we've seen before just doesn't work. It still applies the penalty, and you stand the chance of losing more positions.
Yeah, exactly.
And Johnny was saying that I'd need at least 140 incident points per race in order to make it round.
I'll tell you, there's lots of opportunities to get off tracks here.
It seems like it. I was saying it seems like the old Spa track in the fact that you can pick them up just about on every corner. So it's the start of the season. What are your aspirations for this season? Are you wanting to be up there in the top 3, or do you think this is one that you can run away with?
Oh no. I'll be happy with a top 7 this year. If I can get top 7 at the end of the year, I'll be pretty happy. I think that the competition's improved quite a bit over the last couple of years. I was disappointed not to see Johnny racing today and his crew, so hopefully they'll come back out.
That's why the competition's improved.
Fighting talk.
I'm staying quiet.
But competition's good. Tyler wasn't here this weekend. He's in sunny Bathurst, the little bugger, and very jealous about that. But we'll have a good season, I'm sure.
Awesome stuff. Anybody you'd like to shout out to before we let you go and celebrate your podium for a start and speak to Ant Woodward about his naughtiness?
Yeah, Simability obviously for sponsoring the league and been on our car since inception, I guess. You guys for doing the broadcast. Ant's company, Wild Rides. If you need an electric bike, ring Ant up, and I'm sure he can set you up. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome stuff. We'll see you for the next race. Tony Klusterman.
Tony, you should be aiming for 3rd at least.
More than
capable. More than set those targets higher, mate. You're more than capable.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Johnny. Take care.
Oh, Tony Klusterman there. I suppose next up we should bring in Mr. Stephen New York Phillips. Welcome to the booth.
Hey everybody, how we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. So you probably don't want to talk about the sprint race start, but we're going to. You had a shocker, didn't you?
Yeah, I was doing burnouts. Left a couple of 11s.
Doing 11s on the start line. Good lad.
I'm sure you were one of these that will watch the broadcast back. We was trying to work out why you dropped back so far, and then went back and looked at your start, and that was like, wow, that must have been, what did we count, 4 or 5 positions lost there?
Oh, I think it was excruciating.
I think it was that bad Chimera are looking to invite you to join their team.
Yeah, I was thinking it in my head, Johnny, that was the Jamie Wilson start. And I watched him go by me too. I was like, oh man.
I was going to say, you've not been my teammate for ages. I don't know why you're still doing starts like that.
But to be fair,
I haven't done that in a long time either.
Got back to 6, you picked them off one at a time, and then, feature race, that's where the big points get handed out. A podium, you must be over the moon with that.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Stayed out of trouble and just logged laps and kept my head down, and it took everything I had mentally to not keep looking at the clock. But I don't know how many people know this, but I grew up in Texas. So to get my first podium in a couple of years at COTA is really special. I went to this event when I was in college, so to get a podium here is really, really cool.
Okay. So, you know, I'm gonna blow it up a little bit bigger than that, because we've had podium visitors that don't get many or don't get any podiums before. But normally we're talking about how people like Johnny Brandon threw it off the track or
Thank you.
crashed into his teammate, or, you know,
Thank you.
something has happened up the front and gifted somebody a podium. That was pure pace from you. Nobody made mistakes up the front. You was third on merit, and that must make it even better.
There was some nice overtakes in there in both races as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was surprised just by like how much fun I was having. I have to be honest, I was not looking forward to this round. And then when we started race one, other than doing a burnout on the grid, there's something just clicked as far as the hustling, really like hustling the car around here. So yeah, it was a lot of fun just turning laps.
Well, you know, whatever you did differently to, I'm not gonna, no, that's wrong, because you know, me and Pete were talking about it towards the end of last season, how you're starting to click now, and we can see you moving up the finishing grid. This, you know, I think I'm right in saying you have had podiums in this series, but not regularly. Do you think maybe this season is the season that you take that next step and you are consistently fighting for top fives and podiums, and maybe even a win?
I mean, I'm not gonna make any promises. I've been a little stunned with my progress on the officials as far as my I rating goes. So, I mean, anything's possible. I'd really love to keep up the momentum, and yeah, just stay out of trouble and turn laps, and hopefully have more races like today where I can hunt down Kenzie and those kind of guys towards the end, because I was watching the relative and starting to reel Kenzie in. I don't know if he was fuel saving just to get to the end, but that was really cool to see.
Incident
Yeah,
dodging.
well, don't say nothing, Pete. That'll
All
burst
right.
his bubble.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you was just way faster than Kenzie,
Yeah,
and you
miles
was
faster, miles faster.
Another 3 laps, and you would have won that race.
Can I ask him a question? Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
Do you do everything by yourself? Do you do all the car setups by yourself, or do you work with other teams for all that sort of thing and practice?
I do just about everything by myself. Yeah,
Even more impressive. Yeah,
I've got a bunch of I guess they're legacy now because Tony and Tyler haven't shared setups in the
no, they're horrible. Those
setup
guys,
channel.
they never set. Yeah.
So I've got a bunch of old ones that they've shared and found one that worked, and I've been just kind of tweaking it as needed per the track.
So you obviously put plenty of laps in practice then, and just make little changes here and there until you're happy.
Yeah, kind of more of a feel. I only did I shut up, and those were the first laps that I turned today. So I was kind of hustling to.
See, you've ruined it now. I was trying to tell everybody how great you were because you practiced, and then you just ended it by saying you just turned up and got lucky. So you defeated everything I was trying to say. But well done.
Thanks, Johnny.
So, any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to thank Simability and all the other league sponsors. I want to thank you guys in particular just for being here and making this possible. Always have to thank the dogs for being patient while Dad races in the afternoons. Thank you, Pete.
Can I just say, obviously, you need to thank me because it's obviously because I'm in the booth. I've been your lucky mascot. That's why
yes,
you made
exactly.
the best ever result. It's obvious, you know.
Thank you, Johnny, for not racing this weekend.
I didn't mean it that way. I meant as a lucky mascot here.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on a well-deserved podium, Stephen Phillips.
Cheers, guys.
Right, Pete, next up for you, it is the Wilsonator.
Oh, really? Right, okay. Good evening, Jamie. How you doing?
Hello, hello. Yeah, not too bad. Bit
Hello,
sweaty.
hello. A bit sweaty, some V8s. So, a fourth position, unless I'm wrong, in the second race. What was it, 6th in the first one or 5th?
Seventh.
7th, yeah.
Eighth. How did he end up 8th?
9th. Are we just counting numbers
Yeah,
here?
just keep going up.
10th?
The 8th.
Somebody tell me. 8th, right. That doesn't seem right somehow.
Oh, no, it was, because I ended up 3rd.
Oh, okay, then, yeah, okay. In that case, Simon legged it. Obviously, Andrew, we heard from Simon, is fairly new to turning right. So, Team Chimera have done all right tonight, really, haven't they? Because you've got some really good points from your 4th position, 2 podiums, an 8th place. Andrew finished in 11th and 13th, I think. No, 11th and 13th. So good haul for Team Chimera. Tell us about your 2 races. You were in the thick of it for a lot of the race. With everybody, it felt like.
Pretty much, yeah. I was yo-yoing up and down the field, basically, it felt like. It's interesting here because the tyres were just being torn to shreds by most people. So if you could look after them, then that sort of, if you were a couple of seconds behind a clump of people, you'd catch them back up just by driving. So that's what happened.
You weren't looking after them very well, though, Jamie. You were sideways more than anybody else, I think.
Really?
It was quite impressive.
Yeah, there was a lot of sideways motion.
Yeah, but I was trying to look after them. Now, whether I did look after them or not is another matter.
You looked after the fronts.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's it.
I had some. I saw a fair few people lighting it up out of corners and such, just as I was. But certainly, the end of that second race, I needed another 2 laps, I think, to catch Stephen. But I managed to overhaul the previous 2 up to that point, and I would have got Stephen with another 2 laps. So I must have done something right.
Yeah, definitely. And we were on board with you for most of, in fact, over a lap in the down stages when you were chasing Stephen in the second race, and there was a lot of opposite lock getting applied on the tight corners. Is that something you can dial out with setup, or dial out with more practice, or what?
Probably more of the practice side of it, but with the track temp being as high as it was, at that point where you're on the tyres at their oldest age, you're going to have them on. It's just a matter of lighting it up less than the others, as opposed to not lighting it up at all sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. That's a fair comment.
It's all relative.
Yeah, and you're going to want to be as careful as you can for the next round, for sure, because in 2 weeks' time we'll be at Belle Isle. The off tracks there are called pit lane repairs.
Yeah. Last time we went there, we had an interesting opening lap, didn't we?
Was this the one where we called a caution?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. This one was proper tasty last season. How are you guys planning to set up for that? You got 2 weeks to practice, so you got plenty of planning time.
A higher fan speed setting, I think, required for that one, because that is hard work around there, big time. At least here, there's a little straight or 2 you could have a bit of a rest on. And also, Simon probably said this to you as well, that having not driven the car for a while, we're both on quite strong direct drive wheels. We're both knackered.
Yeah, he didn't mention it actually, but yeah, I can imagine. I've got one that's nowhere near as good as yours, and doing the 24 hours a Daytona, I thought my arms were going to fall off at one point.
Yeah,
you did 2.4 minutes.
I did slightly more than that. I crashed it within 2.4 minutes, but yeah. In fact, it was less than 2.4 minutes because as I was coming out of the pits, I got written off by somebody. So any shout outs you want to make before we let you go and celebrate the Chimera team victory, if I can even speak?
Mainly just to Andrew Wood, because I'm sure Simon mentioned he's brand new to the car. He's from our sort of sister team out in the IndyCar world, Team Talent. He does the classic series with us. So.
Oh right, so he does know how to turn right then. That's good.
He certainly does know how to turn right.
Yeah, cool.
I suggested suggested maybe a bit weak. I cajoled and pestered him to to join this because I knew he was very good at tyre management in the IndyCar.
Right.
Because you've got different compounds there, and the way that the tyres go off in that actually feel quite similar to how they go off in here. So, and he's also very good at like close quarters stuff in the IndyCar as well. So, I thought this would be a good fit for him. And yeah, when he did a like 20-lap run in practice and compared tyre wear figures, it was like, yes, I was right because he did better than Simon.
Right.
So yeah, so fair play to him. He's basically
You obviously haven't trained him in Chimera starts though.
We didn't do too bad, did we?
He did
Well,
better
you've
than
obviously
Stephen
been
Phillips.
showing Stephen Phillips how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He is expecting an invite to Team Chimera, by the way.
Yeah, I did have a look back at that Imola race where we both went just completely backwards. That was quite funny. Or the Knockhill one where there wasn't the grid extension and we were mucking about with our fuel when lights went out. That was good fun as well.
Yeah, that was amusing. Yeah.
But no, Wood has come in and from absolutely zero, and I think admittedly assisted by Ant Woodward's. I think he got a penalty at the end. He finished as top Wood, so. And that, I think, is a good target for him for the season, to be the top Wood.
Yeah, number 1 Wood in race 2.
Yeah, all good.
He was a 1 Wood.
yeah. In
Also
golf.
known as a driver. Woohoo.
Hey, there you go. Boom, from Johnny Brandon. He's here all night, folks.
Yeah, not driving, I notice.
No, I'm scared of Simon.
Scared of Simon?
You weren't
I'm
at
protecting my legacy.
It means he's won now. He's quit. We'll see you next time out at Belle Isle even, and try and keep it out of the walls. Jamie Wilson.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Okay, so last but not least, we have Mr. Ant Black Flag Wood House Wood.
Yeah, that's his full
He's
name.
in. Only came in to talk to Johnny. I saw he's in here. How's the golf?
Too much wood.
Hi,
Well, tell you
very
what,
good, mate.
We'll let Johnny interview you then.
These lads are taking a mick out of me for racing in my pajamas, and I think you shouldn't do a hobby if you can't wear your pajamas while you're doing it.
Depends what your hobby is, though, right?
I know. Seeing Johnny on the golf course, he probably agrees. I think.
I don't even wear pajamas, and don't tell anybody. That's the secret.
What about if he was a school caretaker?
I just came in to find out
That's
where
lost
I
me, that
finished. Race 2.
Where did you finish in race 2?
In the pit lane, Ant. In the pit lane.
Well, yeah.
Hang on. 11th.
Is that where it put me? Is it?
Yeah.
All right, and I'll leave now then. Cheers. Thanks to Simability. That's a bit grim, wasn't it?
Don't save your penalty on the last lap because you get battered by iRacing worse than you would have done if you'd done your drive-through on a previous lap.
Spotter lied to me. He said serve it on. He said you've got 3 laps to serve it.
Well, you do. Just don't do it on the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, you were pretty rapid.
Yeah, second race was better. I loaded I had a rubbish first one and I drove the tyres off it completely, and then I knew I was starting pole, and I loaded my own setup and just because I swapped to Tony's before the race one, and I got lucky. There was fighting all the time behind me, so I just managed to drive without driving the tyres off it for a change a bit more, I think. Yeah, it was looking like a good race until the last lap.
Well, you had quite a good gap at the front, and then the pit stops happened and the gap disappeared.
Yeah, as expected. They'd all caught me up just before I pitted, so it was all going to happen anyway in the next few laps, and I was probably going to end up in the wall, probably trying not to be passed or something. So
it's funny you should mention walls.
Really?
Yeah, next time out it's Belle Isle.
Yeah, it's a good track, that, isn't it?
Depends.
Yeah, I do like it.
Right.
I go well around there, but yeah, there's lots of walls.
Yeah, I don't think
You don't get incident points.
I was just
because
gonna say...
you can't go off track.
Well, you're off
Oh,
track's
you
gonna
can
be
still
great.
get incident points, trust me.
Yeah, but you end your race. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's final, isn't it?
Yeah, you get
It's
about...
not like torture rolling through the pits thinking, I wonder how I did in this race where I was sitting fourth.
How about you're used to that, and after tonight, there you go.
Yeah. It's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage.
I'm just glad to be back. It was a lot of fun, and that's why we're here, isn't it? Doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
If I got on the screen and had a lot of fun, then there you go.
Oh, you're on the screen plenty. And it'll be good fun when you get your 2X next week, in a fortnight's time. Anybody you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Stacey Jack EV, Simability, all the drivers signing up. Johnny for not signing up, don't know why that is. And the new guy, I don't know his name, I don't know who he is. He copped a right load of wheel spin on race one, and I didn't, and I kind of nerfed him. So welcome to the league.
Yeah. Rite of passage. Thanks a lot for fantastic racing tonight, and we'll see you next time out at Belle Isle and Woodward.
Cheers, boys.
Right, guys, that's the interviews over.
Yeah.
Now we switch focus to driver of the evening.
We're gonna get
And
3
we-
right because Johnny's
We're
gonna
going to
vote.
get Johnny to vote as well.
all
as he's been in the booth with
Can I
us.
vote for myself?
No.
Even though I wasn't there? Oh, okay.
It's probably one
Just
of your
checking.
best drives recently.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't make any mistakes at all.
But let's start with you, Pete.
Oh. Right, so Simon Trendle did very, very well, got a double victory. Kenzie Newhoff did very, very well. Stephen Phillips featured on the podium for the first time. Making my way down, Andrew Wood was it's his first race weekend with us. He did really well. He did better than some of the stalwarts. But I think my vote is going to go for Stephen Phillips for getting on the podium and having a great double weekend, if you know what I mean. As Chris Jackson's just woken up apparently and joined us. But anyway, it's Stephen Phillips for me.
Excellent. Johnny, you, please.
Can I just say I can't see any of the race results because I'm just watching the replay on YouTube.
Yeah, okay. Just let me put this up and then you'll see.
So I'm finding this difficult from
Yeah,
memory.
I'll do this and then you'll be able to see the results. Give it 2 seconds because we've got a 2-second delay.
Johnny is in the 50+ club now, so...
Just let me put my glasses on 1 second, boys.
Have you got a monocle there, Johnny? Yeah.
I think I'm going to go for Stephen Phillips as well. I said that early on. I think he had a good race one and right up there in race 2. I think it was great, and a shout out to Andrew Wood.
Yeah, definitely.
First race in the car, finished 10th in the features, pretty good.
Top of the woods, number 1 Wood. What do you call
Just
him?
to get to the end, is
Driver.
On Wood.
Driver.
That's it.
That's his new name, Clyde. Driver.
He was the driver at the top Wood.
He's got Wood.
Come on then, Clyde.
You had to take it there, Clyde, didn't you? I've been waiting for that ever since it first got mentioned.
I've been waiting for that since he signed up. Listening to Pete rattle through the drivers, it's hard to disagree with him. Simon Trendle should, by all means, have got 3 votes for a double race win, but we know that doesn't happen in this league.
Can I just say, I had 2 double race wins last season, and I didn't get a single driver of the event vote. So there's no way I'm voting for Simon.
You're not going to feel that.
I know it wasn't you voting, but this is my payback time.
We get brown envelopes for these votes, you know.
Yeah, they're full of shit.
I sent you a few brown envelopes last season because of it.
Kenzie, I'm going to come back to Kenzie. Stephen Phillips, a great result in race 2. Did he start in race 1 spoil it for me?
He still recovered in race 1.
Tony.
You can't give it to Tony. He drove into the pit wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good reason to give
he
it
drove
to
into the pit wall.
Like Johnny said,
That was fun.
Andrew Driver, good showing on his first. I'm giving it to Tony.
What?
Right, I've lost all faith in these drivers of the event.
I'm sorry, but Stephen Phillips doesn't get on the podium very often, and you 2 voted for him.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Recently, Tony hasn't been on the podium very often, and he did. I'm hoping that's the start of Tony getting his mojo back. I really wanted to give it to Kenzie, but I expect Kenzie's going to get plenty of votes this season. No, it's definitely going to be Tony for me, just to annoy you two.
I think Ken, I mean, I don't mean to be harsh on Kenzie. I think Kenzie's better than what he showed tonight.
I
would have expected him to be closer to Simon. I don't think he had a great night for him. I mean, he did very well in the results, but I would have expected him to be a bit closer, and I think he will be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, fastest lap in both races as well for Kenzie. So yeah, and to be fair, we know he's a good driver.
He's rapid. He's a great driver.
And I think Pete nailed it during one of the races. And we know Kenzie can go off on one sometimes. I think a cool head Kenzie. You can copyright that if you want.
Can I change my vote if this counts for anything?
No.
Andrew Wood deserves a vote for a first ever event. There you go.
Only 3 of us, and that.
I'm voting twice.
So,
there you go.
As I've got my hands on the controls, it's a no. So yeah, I honestly think a cool head Kenzie this season is going to push Simon and whoever else is up there all the way to the end, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a number 1 on his car next season. Anyway, guys, that's it. What we got next, Pete? You are in action on Wednesday with the TCRs from Okayama, is it?
Okayama Short. It's going to be
well worth a watch.
It's going to be very intense, but yeah.
And we are back with this series on the 18th from Belle Isle. Unfortunately, I won't be here. I will be away watching Brum Brums. But I'm sure there'll be somebody in the booth with Pete to fill in and do a far better job than I do. So big thanks to all the drivers for showing up and putting on such a good show at a terrible track. Thanks to Pete for doing the cameras. Thanks for Johnny for joining us in the booth. I hope this isn't going to be a one-off. I'd like to see Johnny.
I thought you were going to say you hope it was a one-off.
That's shit. Didn't I say that? Damn. No, in all serious, you've got a lot of knowledge of these cars, racing in general, and it's always nice to have another opinion in the booth. So, please feel free
to pop in every now and then. Yeah.
To come in as often as you want. Big thanks also to Simability for their continued sponsorship. Big thanks to everybody on the chat. You do always make it fun, especially once we get the Mew racing in this league. Then we'll see what it's all about. So yes, that was season 13, rounds 1 and 2. Can't wait to I'll actually sit and watch the next one rather than commentate on it, but it's going to be absolutely fantastic because Belle Isle normally is. So thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you stay safe. I shall say goodnight. Let Pete and Johnny say goodnight, and then we'll close the broadcast. So good night everybody.
Yeah, good night everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Have me, guys. Good night everybody.
Yeah.